District 1 Commissioner is on Grace, and we think that in about 2 minutes she'll be coming through, so just give us a moment.
I scolded her.
We'll all stand as you walk in.
You want to do that?
Yeah. There's a meeting on this Tuesday, October 13, 2015. We welcome each of you to our morning proceedings, and at this time we will stand for the invocation, which is to be led by the Reverend Ben Tippett, Freedom Worship Center, Palatka, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by the Honorable Walt Pelletier.
I did not see Reverend Tippett in the room yet.
Thought I did earlier.
Next, Reverend Roberts, if you will come and just lead us in prayer, please. Reverend J. Roberts.
Lord, we thank you right now. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for everything that you have done up until this point. Father God, we ask you to bless this meeting. Give us the knowledge, give us the understanding. And Lord, help us to walk out of here better people, better for our society, better for our communities. In your Son, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
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 Let's salute our great nation.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioners, each of you should have received and reviewed the minutes from the September 22nd, 2015 regular meeting. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the minutes.
Second.
We have a proper motion with double seconds on the approval of the minutes. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Like sign, hearing none, motion carries. We're honored to have the Honorable Linda Myers, our tax collector, with us this morning to lead us through employee recognitions. And thank you and welcome.
Good morning.
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 Thank you very much for the opportunity to introduce to you and to Putnam County's listening or watching audience some really fabulous people that serve Putnam County through the tax collector's office. We are going to recognize today, I think, something like 40 years of service in the Putnam County Tax Collector's Office in these individuals, which is pretty tremendous statement. So let me start off by calling forward all of our 5-year PIN representatives. And unless I get this incorrect, we're going to have Darren Rembert, Michelle Head, Nancy Quintana, and someone who is not able to be with us today, Dolores Flanders, as well, are celebrating 5. So Darren, Michelle, Nancy, and I have here, I think today, a couple supervisors. Katie, who is supervising the finance department. We'll hear about that in a minute. Katie, would you come forward? And Trish, who is representing Motor Services, and Dolores Flanders. And we have the Motor Services director here, Patsy Treadwell. Patsy, thank you for being with us. If you'll give me just one moment to read a couple of comments, and that would be first on Dolores Sanders. She's in the Motor Services Division in the main office of Palatka. Started with us part-time and worked many years in that capacity. Began full-time 5 years ago. She has served our customers issuing driver's license, motor vehicles, tags, and is our lead person on CDL tags, which commercial driver's license, very important. It's, all about making sure folks have jobs in our community, and that's a great job. So she's become kind of one of our go-to people. We want to congratulate Dolores for 5 years, and Trish is here to take her certificate. Trish Foster, who is the supervisor of Motor Services. Let's see if we have these in the right order, Trish, and then you can assist me if you will. Dolores, thank you very much. We're going to stick real quick with Motor Services, and that would be Darren Rembert is next. Let me tell you a little bit about Darren. He is one of our lead people in the Interlochen office. So I see Larry shaking his head, and Walton, probably you guys know our Interlochen staff. They're dedicated to that community. He serves our customers issuing driver's license, motor vehicle tags, and all of those types of licenses through the state, the hunting and fishing, etc. And starting in 2 weeks, we will be issuing birth certificates to Florida residents in the Interlochen office. So he's about to go through some training.
Good deal.
He has worked for a little over a year with DHSMV. When tags and driver's licenses were done at the state level in Gainesville, that's where Ken Mahaffey grabbed him from when we took on tags and licenses here in our community. He's retired Army, and we thank him for his service, and we congratulate Darren on his 5 years of service. Nancy Quintana, also customer service. Nancy, glad you're with us. She is our go-to person, very fluent in Spanish, and as you know, our community has a growing Spanish population, and literally you are our on-the-phone or in-person contact. She serves our customers as well, issuing driver's license, motor vehicle tags, and all of those partnerships we have with state agencies. She also worked for the Department of Highway Safety Motor Vehicle and was an examiner in the Gainesville, Jacksonville area, and Ken snagged her as well, so she brought a wealth of knowledge, and of course, as I mentioned, she is our in-house translator. Congratulations, Nancy, for your service. We're going to switch gears now and go to financial services. As you know, incredibly important, especially when we're tracking the tax dollars that come to our different taxing authorities. And we have with us our Finance Clerk 1, Michelle Head, and her supervisor with us, Katie Robinson, who is the Chief Financial Officer for your tax collector's office. Michelle is involved in a multitude of duties in the Finance Division, responsible for the tourist development tax payments in the system, has served as lead for the Northeast Florida Tourist Development Tax Coalition. She was our Region 2 Director, so we want to congratulate Michelle for her 5 years of commitment to Putnam County. And I certainly want to thank you for the opportunity to be here and recognize the folks that have been serving Putnam County. We're now going to, if you'll stay with us for a picture, we're now going to ask Kathy Crabtree to join us. Kathy is celebrating 15 years with the Tax Collector's Office. She began her career as a customer service representative, serving driver's license and tags and all of our other state agency licensing. She possesses great technical skills and is instrumental in the development and testing of new software and hardware for our offices, which, as you know, is an ongoing issue. New software constantly coming down from the state, and is intimately involved with our new birth certificate programming. Speaking of our birth certificates, did I see Mary Garcia? I thought I saw Mary. This is, as we mentioned before, this is a collaborative effort with the Putnam County Health Department and your tax collector office. She stretches her talents quite thin, making sure all of our staff are trained in the new software. Prior to coming to the tax collector's office, she worked in land and title business and brought a knowledge base pertaining to property, deeds, mobile home titles to the table. Kathy is instrumental in keeping all three offices up to date and centered around the procedures as dictated by all the state agencies that we represent. Congratulations, Kathy, for 15 years' commitment. I'm not sure if we have any family members here representing our staff here. If we do, we surely like them to speak. Is there somebody here? Please stand. It's your mom. We're glad. We know you're as proud of her as we are, and we're glad you're with us.
That's right.
Thank you. With that, we have nothing else other than this many years. I didn't actually count it up, but it's 35 or 40 years of the tax collector's office, and we have more to celebrate at your next meeting. In the meantime, again, thank you for letting us be here to show this community the commitment of the dedicated workers who serve us in Putnam County. So I guess it's picture time?
Yes. Thank you again, and on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, thank you for your leadership, and thank each of you for your commitment and loyalty to Putnam County. Thank you again, and God bless. Commissioners, at this time, we will enter into recess for the board and will convene as the Solid Waste Collection and Disposal District, and we invite the mayors that are present to please come forward so that the board can be called to order.
I don't know if Mr. Lahart is here representing Mayor.
I don't think he can.
Mayor Lawson, yeah. No.
The record will note that the Solid Waste Collection and Disposal District is called to order at this time. Thank you, Mayor Santa, Mayor Hill. Thank you so much for being here. First item of business on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the meeting of August 25th, 2015. What is the pleasure of the board?
I move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
August 25th, 2015. Have a proper motion and a second. Further discussion? Question's been called. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very kindly. The second item of business on the agenda is the solid waste fees owed by the Palatka Housing Authority, authorizing the filing of declaratory judgment. At this time, Mr. Castleberry, you have some opening comments.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few meetings ago, the Board of County Commissioners authorized the county to file this declaratory judgment action against the Housing Authority based on the long-running dispute we have over the amounts due for the solid waste services we provide the Housing Authority. In putting together the complaint, we realized that it probably should also have the district named as a party in addition to the county, just to avoid any potential procedural problems with if the Housing Authority were to raise a defense of an improper party or an indispensable party not joining in the suit. So I think everybody's aware that there is a disagreement between the county and the district and the Housing Authority over the interpretation of a Florida statute. And there is approximately 90,000. The agenda item says 65. That was based on an older figure. There is approximately $92,000 according to our most recent invoice to the Housing Authority, which has not been paid, that the county feels is due and the Housing Authority feels is not due. This is a declaratory judgment action over a very specific Florida statute that the parties have a very sharp disagreement over the interpretation of it. So we are asking the Solid Waste Collection and Disposal District for authority to join this declaratory judgment action, which we will file in the very near future.
Thank you, Mr. Castleberry. Comments from the district?
Mr. Chair, I think that this procedure needs to go forward for both parties that are interested here, that we have to resolve this, and Mr. Castleberry and legal counsel I think this is the only way to do it.
Any further? Okay, the history, the highlights are before us, that the Palatka Housing Authority has refused to pay more than the $89 per year per unit for solid waste disposal, even though they have been billed accordingly. The legal department was authorized prior to this to file it, and so today's action is only naming the district to the seeking the district approval to do so. What is the pleasure of the district?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion authorizing the district to file a declaratory judgment against the Palatka Housing Authority regarding the amounts owed.
Second.
Proper motion and a second. Discussion. Question has been called. We will go in order, starting with Mayor Hill.
Yes.
Mayor Santa.
Yes.
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 Yes. It's unanimous. Any further business to come before the Solid Waste Collection and Disposal District? Entertain a motion to adjourn the district.
So moved.
Thank you all for being here. This time we will reconvene the board. Item 5 on the agenda is Matt Pearson, Executive Director, and Janice Owen, Senior Services Director, Swanee River Economic Council. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the board. We appreciate the invitation for allowing us to come down and speak about senior services briefly here in Putnam County. I'm Matt Pearson. I'm the Executive Director of the Swanee River Economic Council, and with me is Janice Owen. She's Senior Services Director. For those who don't know, we've been the lead agency for senior services since the early 1990s, and have run a clean, quiet system since then. But I understand you guys have some questions about the services and the budgetary amounts that go per services, so we're going to talk a few minutes about that. I'm going to turn it over to Janice to give you a brief presentation, and we'll be here to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you very kindly. Ms. Janice, if you'll speak closely to that mic so we can hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you for the invite. You should have received a summary of the past year. I believe we provided that earlier for your information. And that funding is pretty much remaining steady. That was through 6/30 of 2015. And we're a little less, but funding changes every few months. We may end up getting some additional funding in the Older Americans Act. But let me just begin by saying that our mission is very simple. We target individuals in Putnam County that are 60 years of age and older. That is our primary target group. And our purpose is to enable those senior citizens to remain in their home to delay or prevent institutional placement. And our focus is very simple. We do in-home services. We do homemaking, personal care, and respite in the home. We have some staff who do that, but predominantly several of our programs we subcontract out to home health agencies to go into the homes. The homemaking is generally an hour and a half, 2 hours a week. Personal care can be 2 hours, 3 hours, depends on the need of the client. And respite is relief for the caregiver. It is very stressful for a caregiver to stay in the home 24/7 and take care of someone. And they need a break. They need somebody to sit with that person while they go to the doctor, while they just go fishing or go get their hair done or whatever it is that they need to do. One of our more popular programs is the Congregate Meal Program. And just for your benefit, we have 3 meal sites here in Putnam County. We have a meal site at Sugar Mill Woods down in Wiladka. We have a meal site here in Berry Manor in Palatka, and we have a meal site at the Walker Center out at Hawthorne. We do a meal at Sugar Mill and the Walker Center 5 days a week, lunchtime. And on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it is a hot meal. And on Tuesday and Thursday, it is a salad. And that was by the client's choice. It used to be 5 days a week, hot meal, and we had an opportunity to add salad, which was a little different in the menu. Seniors said, yes, we would like to try the salad, especially in the warm months, and it has been very successful. On a norm, we serve around 55 clients a day at those 3 meal sites. We could serve a lot more. If we had more funding, we could serve twice that many. And we could add some additional meal sites if we had additional funding, but we try to do what we can. In addition to the meal site, we do nutrition education. And that is the Congregate Meal Program, and our meals come from Daytona. And they are delivered to Palatka 3 days a week. The hot meals come in on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the salads are delivered at that time for Tuesday and Thursday. We also do a home-delivered meal program. We serve a lot more. We have 93 clients on that program currently, and we deliver meals into the client's home. They're frozen or shelf, but these are meals they can pop into the microwave, and they can have a hot, balanced meal in less than 6 minutes. And for them, these individuals have to be homebound. They cannot drive themselves, and we target low-income individuals. We do an energy assistance program that is specifically for people 60 years of age, and we can assist them one time a season. We have a cooling season and a heating season, and we can assist up to $600 each time for assistance with their electric bill during the summertime or a gas bill or electric in the wintertime. I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Sounds like they eat good.
You know, well, some people say the meals are great, and some people say, well, it's not good home cooking. No, it is not good home cooking. But if you've ever been hungry and you've ever had to live on Pop-Tarts or canned soup because you can't afford, and for low-income seniors to make the choice between feeding themselves or buying their medicine's going to win. You know, and we had a case just a couple of weeks ago. One of our case managers went into a home and they literally had 1 can of corn is all they had in their home. And that's sad. That's reality. You have a lot of seniors in Putnam County, and we just touched just the top of the iceberg trying to serve those people. But if you know a senior who's in need, please let us know, and we will do what we can. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes, sir.
One question, speaking of those seniors, on your SREC funding distribution and your 60-plus population, I looked at the populations of each of the participating counties that you serve, and I just don't understand the percentage difference. We're by far the largest and double in most cases, and the funding doesn't equate to that.
We do not determine the funding. That comes from Elder Options out of Gainesville, and that comes from the Department of Elder Affairs.
That's a question for those folks?
That is a question for those
Elder
folks.
Options, huh?
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
it's quite different. It really is. Unfair almost.
Yeah, you would need to talk to them about the equation that they use for distribution.
Okay. We'll do that.
Commissioner Harris.
I have a few questions. We have tried to get a board member to serve on the Swanee River Economic Council and have been unable to. We've requested it and have been turned down. And at your last summary, I guess, I read it, and I guess you just have a few slots. Some counties get in every time, and some are alternated. Could you just explain that?
I can. We have 24 board members, and 1/3 of those board members represent our Community Action Agency counties. We're a CSBG.
Closer to the mic, please.
I'm sorry. We're a CSBG, and those rules require us to have 1/3 of our board members represent the poor in the communities that we serve. 1/3 of our board members represent public entities, which are the county commissions that we serve, and then 1/3 represents just private entities or private companies that have a like mission to what we have with the Economic Council. I'm unaware of Putnam County seeking a spot on our board. I've only been the director for about a year, but I'd be happy to try to find a spot in the future if a spot becomes available and open. It may not be as a county representative, but it may be as a private representative that we might could find a spot for you on our board of directors.
Okay, we would like to know more what's going on and be a part of it.
Yes,
And I think I appointed Lee Barron, and I think maybe it's been 6 or 7 years ago. We since had requested that Yvonne Parrish, our legislative liaison, be put on the board and have been turned down. And I was looking at that, and we don't feel like there's enough communication. Your reports are, we're glad that we get them. They're very difficult to understand. At one point, this is not when you have been the director, but we called and had a meeting, and we asked for an explanation of the report and for a breakdown of different things, and they never responded. And the director did come and talk to us, but there was no response. So we're feeling left out.
Sure.
So I guess you answered Chip's question. Could you explain the allocation to the Swanee River Economic Council for Putnam citizens? And you're saying that that is Elder Options that makes that decision. Do you know what they base it on?
I'm going to assume it's a formula based on population, county size, a whole bunch of factors, but I don't know. Kristen Griffiths is the director of Elder Options in Gainesville, and I'm sure she could answer that question for you.
Okay, her name is what? Kristen
Griffiths.
Kristen. How do you spell the last name?
Griffis, I believe.
Okay, thank you. As Chip said, we're the largest county, but we're not getting as much.
Could I
as
add
the
one
other.
more point to that?
Yeah.
Would it be okay? Right now, the amount of allocation that you get is not really based on us. However, in some counties, the county commission also helps fund these programs. Right now, Putnam County gives $4,000. As the largest county, we don't get that much money from Putnam County from the board to help with these programs. Other counties, for example, Hamilton County, which is a small rural county, gives $50,000. So sometimes it just kind of goes both ways. We want to help out the citizens in Putnam County, and sometimes we need a little more help from the local providers.
Well, let me ask you this. I think that you said that we are feeding, is it 93 clients? 93 clients have the meals delivered to their home. What is the cost for each client?
The
To have
cost
that
per
delivered.
meal, it depends. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I think it's somewhere probably around $5 or $6 per meal, just an estimate.
Unit costs are hard to find in your numbers. They
We have
really
to
are.
provide the unit cost, the other options, and they reimburse those costs to us. We put together a budget, and they reimburse us for those costs. So we have to buy the meal, and there's administrative costs, and also the cost for us to prepare the meal and deliver the meal. There's all those things come into factor, and that's how we're reimbursed for the cost that we have.
So it's one, do you give them 3 meals a day or 1 meal a day?
It varies. It varies depending on the need of the client. We have some clients who get 1 meal a day. We have some who get 2, and they can get up to 3 meals a day, depending on the need. When we go into the home, we try to find out what they themselves have. How much food do they have? Do they get food stamps? And also, do they have family and support? Do they have family? Do they have a caregiver that's living with them? Do they have a church family that also helps? Sometimes it's weekend meals. Sometimes people go ahead and bring in food to them on the weekends, and they're like, no, we don't need food on the weekend. We're okay. We just need 1 or 2 meals a day, Monday through Friday. So it really varies on the client. We do an individual assessment on each person, and so we build their care plan based on that need. So it really does vary.
I need to say that I personally have called twice to get help for someone that really needed it. One case was the husband, they're both very elderly, had brain cancer and was unable to drive. The wife didn't drive, and she had dementia and could not cook. They used to go out to eat a lot. They were turned down. I don't think anyone ever did an assessment on them. I explained the situation, and they just said, we just don't have any more. Had a second one where the wife had just died, and the husband had dementia and could not cook, and he was turned down. And so I think these are pretty serious situations, and I don't understand how they can be turned down so quickly and not look into it. Do you evaluate what the situation is? Like, can the people get out and work or not? Or is it a bad situation like I just described?
Yes, ma'am.
Look at that.
Regrettably, we have a waiting list probably of over 100 people for home-delivered meals in Putnam County, and that's people who have been assessed. I do apologize for the staff, and if someone would have called me and let me know a referral is made, a lot of times I will follow up with that. It is hard. Sometimes we get phone calls of people who need things, and we refer them to Elder Options if it's for the Community Care for the Elderly program or the Alzheimer's Disease Initiative program. Those referrals go on to Elder Options, and they maintain that waiting list. So it's a little complicated. I would be happy to meet with any of you anytime and us talk about the details of the program. But if I'm aware of a senior that has a need, that needs to be assessed, I direct the staff to go see them and do a home visit, not just a telephone.
No one told me that. I did not know what to do, and I didn't have a good response from the director before just about explaining the program. So
I do
my experience
apologize.
has not been good, and we're a very needy county. We have lots of people. I know that we give $4,000 a year. We also don't have a lot of money. I don't know how that other county does 50. It's
Well,
amazing.
If I could, Commissioner Harris, could I ask for an annual audit so I can better understand your challenges so we can be better served and maybe communicate a little better?
Sure.
Can we have one mailed here?
Absolutely. Understand, we are.
Or
a
sent
large
electronically.
organization. We're a large organization. Our full audit would be from transportation services to everything that we do. But I'd be happy to provide that for you. I
I'd
would
be
tell you
very-
this. In the last fiscal year, the Putnam County Senior Services Program lost $63,000 on behalf of the Economic Council. So our other agencies and other counties and other programs funded the senior services for Putnam County for $63,000. That was our loss.
Okay.
If you would let me.
But your monthly reports just don't reflect that. I would like a annual report so we can better serve you and vice versa.
Thank you so much for the discussion and deliberation. Let me go on record saying that it's apparent that there's a disconnect. So if we fix the disconnect and do a reconnect, then I think the right hand and the left hand will know what's happening. When we look at the disproportionate numbers there, obviously that's only a snapshot and that's only a perspective as to what's going on. So I think that this meeting, you've given us a wonderful report. Certainly this is not a bashing contest in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but it is a reality check for us. We, again, are compared with other communities based on the number of seniors we have, the per capita income, the challenges that we face, all of those things. And at the end of the day, resources that are available to other communities may not be available to us. So let's be equitable in our commentary and say that let's set up a subsequent opportunity, or maybe during one of our workshops, that we can have the elder options and the Department of Elderly Affairs, because at the end of the day, we're compassionate, we're caring, but but we have to have funding, in order to pass the funding on as well. So I think that would be the way to go. I think that it's also a point to be made in how many different entities that are out there that are duplicating services in the community, and maybe we can make the dollar go further when we have an understanding as to whether we actually have healthy competition going on, or whether we actually have agreements that says, you know what, you specialize in this, we'll specialize in that, so that we can maximize the services to our seniors. That's something, again, that you would not necessarily be able to do, but if the connect happens, then this commission, who is concerned about the comprehensive needs of our seniors, would be able to be at least a facilitator. But if we're not at the table, that makes it very difficult for us to know what to do and how to do it. Yes, ma'am.
I have more questions, but
sorry.
I'll limit it to two if you want to hurry this up. But I have two very important ones. No problem. I guess I'm disappointed that there's only 55 people, is that what you said, that go to the 3 places where there's a hot meal. That isn't very many. Is that all we can afford, or do people not know about it?
That's all we can afford.
Okay.
And those, at Sugar Mill and Walker, they eat Monday through Friday. They 5 days a week. And at Berry Manor, it's 3 days a week. We could serve easily at these 3 meal sites twice that many people if we had the money. Addition to that, we could also serve meals at the Edgar Johnson Center that we've coordinated with them in the past, and they've indicated to us they would love to start serving meals back there again, as well as Holly Ridge. There's seniors here. There's low-income seniors. There's people who would love to come together and get a meal, not just for the food, but also for the socialization. But it is a matter of funding.
All right. The other one that's very important is one of our greatest challenges right now with the privatization of Medicare and transportation. We, as well as other counties that are rural, are having trouble keeping our transportation system going.
We provide transportation just the way Ride Solution does. We do the same thing in 6 rural North Florida counties as well. So I understand exactly what Boyd Thompson and his crew is going through with the transportation changes in Medicaid. So I'm, to help you answer ask your question,
So you know that. And
we're completely familiar with it.
we have tried to group those counties together to speak with one voice so that they could realize how devastating this is. But what I wanted to know is, do you have any more funding that could help us with transportation?
No, ma'am. For the Title IIIB transportation money also does in-home services and different things. So for us to provide more transportation for our seniors, we'd have to go pull services from elsewhere. There's a limited dollar in the Older Americans Act Title IIIB funding. That's what pays for Title IIIB transportation here in Putnam County or Bradford County or Union County or any other county we serve. So for us to take and put more money in transportation, we'd have to cancel services elsewhere.
I think that in your budget that you have a certain set amount for transportation for Putnam County, but you have to allow the trips or allocate them. I guess you understand that probably better than I do. But you don't ever give us even the amount that's in the budget to pick up and transport. Is there some way you can at least follow that?
We can. We currently have a subcontract with Ride Solution to do transportation. And our goal was, whenever we met with them, and it was actually a couple years ago, was to try to get some shopping trips developed. The staff have been trying to do that. It's expensive. Transportation is expensive. And to do that, we would have to reduce the homemaking that is done to the client's home, as Mr. Pearson was indicating. But we have not done, last year we did not have a subcontract with Ride Solution. They did not sign one. This year they did sign one, but we haven't been able to get any shopping trips coordinated, which is our fault. It's really nobody's fault. It's just a matter of getting the players together and getting, like in the Interlochen, do they want to come to Palatka shopping or do they want to stay around the Interlochen area? But the funds are limited.
We've got the buses and they're rolling, and we do have a coordinated system where we do shopping trips and going to the doctor. We also take them to fill prescriptions. So we're rolling all the time. So somehow, if they're in the budget, we certainly ought to have them, and we can put them on the system that's already going. I want you to know that's very important. You can do anything to help with that. I was wondering if there's anyone in the audience that had questions. Could we call for that?
Just Commissioner Harvey would like to.
I would like to answer kind of Commissioner Harris's. These two people have been at our Watson Center meetings we had for the regional transportation, with working with the other counties on the west side. So they have been a part of that, and we are trying to work it out. So it's moving slowly, but we are working in that direction, just so you'll know. Okay.
Mr. Pearson, how do you see the relationship of the agency with Putnam County in respect to the other counties? I mean, do we get an F, or what grade do we get? Just be candid with it. I mean, we're here now, so we might as well face the music.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea getting a Putnam County board member onto our board of directors. I mean, that's our boss. That's my boss, is our board of directors. I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but I see no problem with a Putnam County person. Even if they're not representing the county commission, we can find a spot for them on our board. I think that's a good start, number one. Number two, the relationship we have with this board is similar to how we have with other boards. Every board of county commission that we go to, that we work with, they have limited funds of how they can support social service agencies like ours. Putnam County is not. They're not alone in that kind of mission where they want to do more, but they have limited funds. We want to do more. We have limited funds. Now, so how we grade it, I don't know. It's a problem across North Florida. The transportation issue you have in Putnam County is not only for Boyd, Thompson, and Ride Solutions. It's the same way for me in Lafayette County or Dixie County or wherever else we work. You have more services than what you have funding for. I do agree with everything the boards have said is that more communication, we certainly can work through some of these things. But to have the idea that we're going to come out of this 6 months from now saying everything's just perfect, everybody's going to be served, that's going to be a difficult challenge. I do think that us working together can provide a lot better services than what's going on right now, and it's certainly more communication. As far as a grade A through F, I would be hesitant to give any kind of answer on
Okay,
that.
just keep that in mind for the next reporting period. I guess then my next question would be listening at the dialogue that is happening. Either we are cooperating or we are competing. And I guess, the question is, are the partners with your agency looked on as being competitors, the potential partners, or are they looked on as being, partners or competitors? So at the end of the day, Putnam County gets the short end on a lot of different areas because we have people that are competing rather than partnering.
I don't see a competition going on. I think we all have a similar goal to help those in need, whatever their level are, whether seniors or not
Do
seniors.
you agree that when we duplicate the same basic service, that's a waste?
I think on the federal, anything you do, there's duplications of services. So yes, sir,
Let's
there's
keep it
no way you
local.
can argue against that. However, but yeah, I do think there's some duplication of services that we have. I don't know specifically of some, but I can't imagine why there would not be. I think all in all, the services provided are pretty good with the amount of funding that we have. I understand there's some questions of why Putnam County feels like they're getting short in the stick based on what Elder Option says. We can't control that. That being said, for the money we get, we think we run a pretty good program for you guys. But if there's some arguments against it, that's fine with us too. And we're not saying we are the perfect at everything. And if there's other ways to run it better, or if the county wanted to step in and run it, there would be no arguments from our board and our agency. If the services are not provided to you guys' standards, to the level you want, there's no hard feelings. Just, hey, you know what, Matt? We got some guys here that we think can do it better, and then we would happily say, you know what, good luck, and no hard feelings at all. We think we're doing a pretty good job. If the board thinks otherwise, that's
Well,
okay.
It's not a matter of what the board think. If the board is left to fill in the blanks, then that does create, some issues. And so let's deal with the information exchange and let's deal with the communication deficits there. And then I think the assessment can be more accurately presented there. And I think that's important for that to happen. I don't want this, again, to take on any adverse position. I want you to leave here with, with a positive action for the next step to say, you know what, there is a disconnect. And the only way to fix a disconnect is to do a reconnect.
As soon as one of your people get on our board, we'll start getting into the details of our budget. And my job, number one, is somehow eliminate a $63,000 deficit we had last year.
Yes, sir.
That's got to happen immediately. We're a small agency.
Yes, sir.
That cannot continue year after year after year, and it's happened year after year after year. I stepped in as a director. Immediately, we started making some changes how to get our budget under control. Or my agency won't even be here. Someone else will be behind this podium.
Yes,
so
sir.
we have to provide as much services as we can through cooperation with other groups within our budget, and that's what we try to do in as clean as possible. So,
Commissioner Harris.
I agree. We need the communication, and actually, we need a liaison with Putnam County to coordinate. We have other groups that do things, and maybe if we're connected, we could work with, we have a lot of churches and a lot of organizations, and if we were connected and providing the same services, we might could make that work better. So, okay.
At the end of the day, I think that the executive directors of the various entities, the decision makers, have to sit to the table together and decide how they can recommend to their respective boards what can be done in the spirit of cooperation. I just think that that's essential. You can get all of the frontline individuals who say, oh yeah, we love each other, we go out to lunch together, and still be working in a tug of war. And that the only way for that to be fixed is to go to the top. Any further discussions or comments?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I just wondered if anyone in the audience wanted to say anything.
I
Or-
really would be reluctant. Please come forward. As long as you have issues that you're bringing to us, not to them. If you want to bring issues to them, you exchange names and do that in a different forum so that we do not get into an opinion. Come forward, please.
My name is Randy Terry. I'm the Healthy Start Supervisor supervisor for Putnam County, and I sit on Nancy's board of a local coordinating board
Talk through the mic. Pull it down to you, please.
for transportation disabled. I'm just wondering if the LCB board, the finance committee, might be a place to continue further discussion if someone would be available to come to our meeting on November the 16th.
Okay. If, again, you'll get with them and see can they coordinate the date.
That would be good, and we could invite the commissioners that would want to come too. That would be a good thing if someone's available to come.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anybody else on this issue? On this issue? On this issue, sir?
What time is that?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Thank you, Ms. Owen. I'm sorry. Please come forward if your hand is up to speak. I couldn't see around them. Good morning.
I'm Reverend Rick Freese, Senior, St. John Lutheran Church. I'm relatively new to the county. I retired from New Jersey as a supervisor of chaplaincy services with New Jersey Department of Corrections. So a lot of the things that have been talked about this morning, my heart has been broken over many a time trying to find needs for inmates' families that were suffering, for individuals of the church, and even down here for individuals that have contacted our church for help in many elder care needs. We struggle with it, and I think everyone here has a heart that struggles with it, and the pastoral people here present also have a heart that's in prayer for it. My concern is, and this is one of the questions I ask someone when they call our church, are you part of a church family? And so many times I find they're not part of a church family. And what is critical here is that within the church families that I'm somewhat familiar with down here, and I know the pastors, there are individuals who go out of their way to help, to make a decking, to help make accessibility for people, to take them shopping, to take them to the doctors, to be with them when they've had a loss of a loved one. This is good care within a community. It's what this country was founded on. The church family unit watched over and reached out. So my concern is, and it's maybe directed towards our churches and our pastoral people, we need to reach out to people because they need a family. It's not only just the meals and the other supports going to the doctors. It's being part of someone, a group that cares. And I think we're sadly lacking down here. I see a few nods here. And I just want to bring that forward. And I'm retired or semi-retired now, but if there's any way that I can be of an assist, a friend of the commissioners, I certainly would. My wife served as part of a county office on aging, and she has the same heart as I do. We try to go out of our ways we can for the people in our church. We serve an elderly church, and I think we need to establish that again in our country. They can say a lot of things about what someone's faith may or may not be, but the truth is we care for one another, and the Lord said, just be there for someone else. So I hope we just lift our hearts up with that attitude in whatever we do. And I thank everybody for the information that was disseminated this morning. I found it very encouraging. And again, I am available. All you have to do is call me.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor.
So much.
Thank you for your comments.
Would you make sure that our secretary has your name and number? Because we're certainly going to call you.
Amen.
Carl.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for the opportunity. This is merely a concern. My only concern is, are we utilizing the financial resources that are given to the county effectively. And I heard you talk about duplicating services. We're one of the sister agencies that does a lot of the same thing with helping with utility assistance and different things like that. And my concern is that we just utilize our funding effectively, making sure we're not duplicating or that we're not doubling our services. And that's really, so if the county, apparently takes over this, and I know you probably can't answer that now because we have to see more resources, I would like to be in that discussion to see how we can, better utilize the services. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Crystal Lascarte, I'm the lead family development specialist with Northeast Florida here in Putnam County. And like Jay said earlier, we are one of Swanee's sister agencies. And I'm also a former employee of Swanee River Economic Council. And I heard you guys answer some questions, asking questions, but they're gone now. But just to kind of clarify a little bit, back in 2011, we were receiving over $300,000 from the Department of Elder Affairs for Swanee River Economic Council. We serviced, as the lead the OA coordinator, I oversaw the meals program as well as the home care services, respite, all of the stuff that they talked about. I didn't have access to the budget, but I am familiar with the clients that were serviced at their congregate meal site, and we had over 300 clients eating at those meal sites on a daily basis. The funding was cut from what I was told. They were cutting back on resources, eliminating programs, and unfortunately our seniors had to suffer the blunt of their administrative costs, is what I'm going to say about that. We serviced over 700 meals per day throughout the county for the clients. Each client received a hot meal every day. We had 5 different meal routes that we serviced throughout the county in Interlaken, Crescent City, Hawthorne, as well as 2 here in Putnam, in Palatka. So I just wanted to say I don't know what has happened, but that is a significant drop from what we used to service when I was with Swanee. The 55 clients and 93 hot, I don't know what's going on, but that's a big disservice to Putnam County.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very kindly. Again, there will be a need for follow-up there, and it's got to be traced back to where the source of funds are in order to dissect and analyze this situation further. Thank you so much for the exchange of information. We will move to item 6. Captain Joe Wells is here with the Putnam County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Mike Brown with the Putnam County Planning and Development Services, and their discussion is going to focus on the no-wake zone as well as the challenges that we're facing and some strategies that may be associated with that. Thank you for being here this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board of County Commissioners. I think that all of you have become aware of the fact that we are dealing with some tidal and coastal flooding along the Duns Creek corridor. Certainly, marine traffic is not the cause of that flooding, but it can contribute to the amount of property damage that we're seeing. There is a NOAA sensor in Duns Creek, and that sensor is reading that we are running about 2.7 to 2.8 feet into the flood stages in Duns Creek. So the Sheriff's Office is trying to take some mitigating efforts to reduce property damage along that, and that I have directed my marine enforcement staff to conduct patrols through Duns Creek and basically seek the cooperation, consideration of the mariners through there and asking them to observe an idle speed, no wake. That has been relatively successful to this point. I think we've made some, I think we've reduced some of the potential impact. I think it's going to be important, and we have already begun a conversation, Mr. Brown and I, to look at revamping and maybe bringing up to date a little bit the county's current ordinance dealing with a potential no-wake zone in Duns Creek that would go into effect only when we reach flood stages. So I think we all realize the need. I think we do have developed a good partnership and are working towards that means. So I don't know if you have anything you want to.
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to add is I spoke with the staff at Florida Wildlife Commission, boating and waterways section, and they did say within the county's broad police powers, we can adopt a local ordinance and enforce that for boating restrictions. the issue comes and you have to get their blessing, go through their criteria if you want to put signs up in the waterway. And that's the big hoop, if we want to, as a county, put signage up in those areas. But it can be done, and we can enforce, if the county can enforce that 2010 ordinance, because it was adopted by the county. As the captain said, I think there are some concerns that we have in discussing it to bring it up to date. That was developed before there was even an official flood stage designated for Dunn's Creek, because that official flood stage wasn't designated till December of 2012. But we still have an ordinance that has referenced that gauge, and has an elevation in there, so it can be enforced.
Can I ask a question?
Commissioner Harris.
Ed Taylor and I spearheaded the passing of that ordinance that we had, and we did run into trouble. And I think it could have been the signs, but also the enforcement of it. Who did you say could enforce?
It's a local ordinance. The locals get to enforce it.
So our sheriff's department,
Yeah,
with one boat, right? Or do you have more now?
Well, we operate 2 boats, but again, they don't operate on a full-time basis. However, when the need arises, such as it has now, I've had boats in Dunn's Creek 7 days a week to try to mitigate this. So we could definitely step up the enforcement action. I'm also under the understanding, and I will need to confirm this, that if we have the ability to write into county ordinances giving other people the authority to enforce our ordinance, and the Fish and Wildlife Commission, I have begun to speak with them about that as well. I just think, and like we discussed, because Dunn's Creek became a designated flood zone in 2012, there's been some sensors installed that we can read 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just by logging on to those sensors computer systems into the websites. And we can easily monitor this and very easily put the no-wake zone into effect, and then remove the no-wake zone once we remain below the flood stages for 48 continuous hours. And then we will, like you said, just need to look at some signage. But yes, ma'am, the sheriff's office would be happy to enforce this. We have to keep in mind that based on the history that I can see, this is only an issue we deal with about once every 3 or so years. So certainly for a few weeks, it would place an extra burden of responsibility on the sheriff's office. But in a broad scheme of things, I think it's certainly within our capabilities to enforce it for the time periods that it traditionally lasts, yes.
Okay, I also want to add, it's not just Dunn's Creek. Sportsman's Harbor is a real problem. When we passed the last one, I visited, I think it was the Schatzman's home, and was invited in their living room, which was already ankle deep in water, and a boat came by and waves were in their living room. So not just Dunn's Creek, but some of the other residential areas that are around there.
Yes, ma'am. I believe that Sportsman Harbor is one of the lowest lying areas in the county. I've had some discussion with Ryan Simpson at Department of Emergency Management. That is one that he is very familiar with. I haven't personally done any research or had any involvement with Sportsman Harbor, but I say that while we're at it, probably need to look at possibly tackling both of those. The only thing I'm not sure on Sportsman Harbor would be the exact measurement criteria. I can tell you that in Dunn's Creek, the NOAA sensor is in place, and it will automatically tell us when we are approaching flood levels and when we've dropped back below them. So we'll have to consider the measurement criteria for Sportsman Harbor, but it's not something that can't be done, for sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Harvey?
Just to add to that, if I can, sorry, is that the only other gauge measuring water level for the St. John's is at Buffalo Bluff. The next one is in Astor. So we would have to base it on the Buffalo Bluff gauge, but it could be done, yeah.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's last Monday when I spoke to Sheriff Hardy, Sportsman's Harbor was one of his concerns, and also the Willaca area was getting pretty much flooded out down there. And we're probably going to hear about that today too. But just to let you know that, and Commissioner Harris, that he was concerned about that, but we would need other resources in there to handle the flood stage and all that. So I appreciate your efforts on that, very much so.
Mr. Lible?
Mike and Joe, have y'all discussed what kind of signage or potentially buoys much as the federal boating regs, you know, they have a nationally recognized buoy for no wake zones, and maybe they would be good in Sportsman's Harbor. And again, when you're short on manpower or whatever, or coming or going at the end of one of these episodes, we could put those buoys out. Not.
Right,
I thought we had gotten signs last time, but
I think there's a couple issues that come up there. One, I think that the buoys and/or signs, whichever you choose, and there are both options, will accomplish two things. One, it'll give us the enforcement ability should it become necessary, but I really believe that it will serve the second purpose of we will gain voluntary compliance. I think that your two options that exist, once we have those vetted through the Fish and Wildlife Commission, are buoys that could be sunk by our marine unit when we do approach action stages in a flood. There are some legal requirements on what their signage has to say. It will have to list the Putnam County ordinance number and things along those lines. And then the other option is, and perhaps the more expensive or in-depth option would be to sink permanent signs into Dunn's Creek that are reversible. So our marine units could leave those signs on the side that says normal safe operation when we're not in flood stages, or we could simply put a boat in the water and flip those signs, and then it would say flood stages, idle speed, no wake per Putnam County ordinance, list the ordinance number, and go from there. So I think there's a couple options there. Both of those options are recognized by the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission as viable signage options. But I think that once everybody's happy with the ordinance, whether we leave it the way it stands now or we put some adjustments in it, and then we'll send that along with a proposal for our sign options to Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, and they will work with us on it.
Okay, if you all would just.
good job. Yeah.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. Stay close. We have a couple of speakers that are coming. Ms. Linda Woodham is first, and then Ms. Janet Smith.
Sir. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and Board of Commissioners. My name is Linda Woodham, and I have permanently moved to District 3 of our beautiful Putnam County. I drove close to 10,000 miles over the course of a year back and forth throughout the state of Florida until I found this hidden jewel. I was attracted to Putnam County breathtaking landscape, its sense of community, convenient location, and commerce. I'm here today to thank Captain Wells of the Putnam County Sheriff Department, his staff, Brad Purcell of the St. Johns River Management, Channel 4 News, First Coast News, and the Plaquemine Daily newspaper, in promoting awareness and a solution to the perils and impact that above idle boat speeds have on our county during flood stages. The past 21 days, our county has endured unusual and various stages of flooding due to uncontrollable weather patterns. It has not only been a hardship for me, but many of my neighbors and residents in your own districts. Living on or near the water is a way of life for many residents in Putnam County, and it has its challenges. These are not unique for water communities. What is unique is the lack of in-place protocols to confront these challenges. Several years back, a few of you worked very hard on a project to make ordinances restricting boating during flood situations, and I thank you. However, I believe you are met with resistance from either local or state agencies. I found limited amount of information on this matter and fewer people who knew of its existence. The saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, comes to mind because after 2 weeks of unanswered questions, unanswered phone calls, and misdirection, I finally found Brad Purcell, and he gave me the fuel I needed to continue on my quest. And then somehow Captain Wells found me. I believe he and I are of the same mind with the same goals: promoting boater safety, controlling shoreline erosion, and property damage due to above idle speeds of motorboats during flood stages. I have taken the liberty to draft an updated proposed ordinance after researching and meeting with the St. Johns River Management, Putnam County Sheriff Department, National Weather Service, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the FWC. The FWC has committed to aid and enforce such ordinances after their criteria of us have been met, such as the signage and the wording on the new ordinance, like what's already discussed. I've given copies of this to Chairman Flagg, and I'm sure you'll all give this great consideration, not only for Dunn's Creek, but areas of your own districts who have similar issues. I will work alongside any of you to help draft your own proposals for specific areas in jeopardy. This is my county, and I will help to serve it. And lastly, I'm impressed with this board's mission statement. It's simple but impactful. Serving you, meeting today's challenges, and focusing on the future. I've held these same philosophies my entire life. You are our elected board members hold Putnam County's destiny in your hands. It's a great honor and a greater responsibility. And together with hard work and continuous cooperation between this board, state, local, county agencies, merchants, and those of us who have chosen to live here, we can accomplish anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Woodham. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
First off, I appreciate you guys putting this on the agenda. I personally do not live on the river, but there are some neighbors of mine that have doctor's appointments this morning and they're working. So I have some information to share with you that is part of defining the problem, which needs to be done in order to fix the problem. I also have some additional suggestions of what we can do as a community to help fix this problem. So bear with me for just a minute. We have a technology interesting thing going on here. I have a Mac computer and your computer apparently will not read a PDF or a JPEG file, which I don't know why that is, but it is. So what I'm going to do here is I have some maps so that I'm going to turn my computer around, and back here she's going to zoom in on this, I hope. And I have paper copies of pictures. Okay. Up here at the top is the Dunn's Creek area we've been talking about. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
a low voice. I'm sorry. I'll do the best I can. Up here, that is the Dunn's Creek area we've been talking about, where I'm seeing problems.
Okay, hold on just a minute, Ms. Smith. Are we supposed to be seeing this on our monitors up here? Because we cannot see those monitors out there.
I don't know. You'll have to ask the person in the back.
Okay, but if she's talking
I
to us
can
and
give
it's out
you
there, that's
paper
not helping us.
copies.
I beg your
I
pardon?
can give you paper
Okay,
copies
well,
so
give
you
us
can
so
see.
we can follow as you speak, please, ma'am. You have, that's just one? You have just, okay. Well, it's not a matter of us wanting to do it. You're making a presentation, but the commissioners don't have access to what you're presenting. And we do have the individuals who we are assigning this project, and so I want to make it worth your time as well. They need this information, Mr. Brown and Captain Wells.
Okay, I have a memory stick in my computer. It has PDF files and it has JPEGs that should be able to be read by a PC computer, which is right here.
Okay.
And we stuck it in earlier, and for whatever reason, it wasn't reading it.
Okay, I don't know what the technical issues are. If you will stick to your presentation, and then we'll get the graphics later, I think that'll make your presentation more
Okay,
efficient.
I
for
have
us.
some specific pictures of the area in Sportsman's Harbor that you need to see to understand the problem.
Okay, we will understand it if you will email it to us, and then we will all have copies of it, Ms. Smith.
I emailed these to Mr. Sammons.
Very good. He will make sure that we have the copies. So if you will present to us, we will pay attention.
Okay, we're
'cause
talking
we're not going to
about-
be able to see the pictures, is what my point is.
We're talking about an area that is pretty, it may as well be in the next county when you're looking at Sportsman's Harbor, which is another area. And they have just as difficult a problem. Having said that, there are other properties, if you want to go look at Georgetown and things like that, that needs to be thought about. So this ordinance does not cover everywhere that it needs to cover. That's one problem. And I have pictures to pinpoint that problem. Now, the next thing in solving the problem is I'd like to point out about, okay. Let me see if I can explain this the best I can without the pictures. I do have the pictures. My neighbor talked to us, and he was very upset. He is someone that Ms. Harris has met before. 2010, had a problem, still got the problem. Problem hadn't been fixed. Well, for one thing, this is a different area than the ordinance is for. That's one problem. Another problem is that people don't understand the problem, and I am talking about boaters. My comments are going to be made from the lens that I lived aboard a boat for 7 years. That gave me the opportunity to see a lot of things, and things you don't expect. Because someone has a boat, has the money to buy a boat, does not mean they understand what no wake is. In fact, just as a quick aside, we had a friend, a close friend, who had an elderly parent sitting aboard his boat in a chair, and a boat passed him with such force of the wake that the elderly parent was thrown out of the boat and the chair was broken. So wakes are serious, and this is someone, what they did is they slowed the boat down, but they didn't slow it down enough. There is a point at which, between when you slow a boat down and it's not enough, that it actually causes more damage because it makes a bigger wake. And I'm saying this because I hate to say this, but not all boaters understand this. This is important for you guys because of the kind of signage that you put up, and also the public education that needs to happen. And I have some specific suggestions as far as that goes. Signage. They don't understand no wake. And there are some options such as idle speed, no wake. We have a lot of regulatory zones in Florida, and they say no wake, minimum wake. And people really don't understand what that is. And besides that, I hate to say this, but it's true. No wake zones have been abused in Florida. Manatee zones being one example, in which if you look at the real expensive property, you're going to see no wake manatees. So we don't want to write something in Putnam County that's not correct, that only needs to be used during the flood conditions, if you understand what I'm saying. Let's don't, keep people from wanting to boat in Putnam County because we've made it so onerous. Let's take care of the problem, but not make it onerous. For instance, idle wake, no wake zone means that vessels must be operated at a speed no greater than that which is necessary to maintain steerage headway. The vessel should not produce a wake at this speed. Now that is different from a different sign that says slow speed minimum wake, which is defined as, and this is by FWC, by the way, areas where vessels must be fully off plane and completely settled in the water. Any wake created by a vessel in one of these zones must be minimal, very small. If your vessel is traveling with the bow even slightly elevated while in one of these zones, it is not proceeding at slow speed as required by law. So the next thing is, we got to get the proper signage. And the next thing is we've got to get people...
Excuse me for interrupting you, Ms. Smith. This is the exact information that I want you to share with the two speakers who came up. We will workshop it. They're trying to get what we would call an interim solution so that we can, rectify the existing conditions, but we do want to take into consideration all of the details that you are providing us, but the commission will get that in a packet from them. And so if you will share that with them, then that will keep us in the order in which we can to make sure that all of your concerns are addressed. So if you will summarize, then we can proceed.
Okay, we do need the commissioners fully on board on this, because without you guys writing the proper ordinance specifically in a means that voters can understand it, and taking an active role in community education, and there is public awareness stuff that is published, and it's common sense things, and there's some things that we can do in addition to that other than brochures that are available at marinas, boat ramps, boat shows, etc., press releases, correspondence to local residents. The other thing that we can do is our tax collector gets involved. Sometimes people go there to get their boat registration.
Yes, ma'am.
that would be an excellent place to put this information to explain what a wake is and, for instance, defining flood in really simple layman's terms. If you look over at properties and that water is at the top of the seawall, then you don't make any kind of a wake. And I do have the pictures to show precisely what that means. To put it in perspective, Mr. Scottman at the end of the road, he's getting this big wake. He has no signage, he has no way to stop the stuff coming into his house. So he borrows a bullhorn and he gets out there and he's yelling to please slow down. Well, in the act of protecting his property, he has a jet skier that comes up and physically threatens him to come find his house. Now, that's the kind of thing that if we do good community education, we can stop that, because there's no need for that in our community. The other thing that we can do is, in addition to the tax collector's office, whether it's brochures and or a video that shows pictures, we can put that together, is that the website that the voters go on to get their registration. If they're a resident of Putnam County and you put it in the ordinance that says you have to read this brochure online and check off that you've read it, or a video, whatever we come up with, before you can get your registration, that
Smith,
stops the root of the problem.
I am not being rude, but I need you to understand that all of what you're saying is important to us. This commission is committed to this. That's why we have two of our very best representatives in both planning and development, as well as the sheriff's office. And this is a priority for us to get resolved. So I want to thank you again for coming. All of the specifics, if you have presented them to that department, we will definitely get them. Thank you so much. Were there any other speakers on this particular issue? Again, I want to express my appreciation on this issue, sir. Come. Your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Tyrone Brown. I'm originally from Crescent City, Florida.
Yes, sir.
I'm a member of NAACP, ACLU. And I'm just sitting back there just taking notes of different issues and things of that nature. I just recently retired from the Army, class of 95, different things of nature. If you want to know about me, I'm in the newspaper, the September 30th of the Putnam County Journal. The main thing I've been studying, I've been telling people about how the water situation here in Putnam County, there's a spiritual meaning behind the reason of water. And different things. There's two verses. I don't want to preach to anybody anything of that nature, but there's two things I want to bring to your attention, sir, and your staff. Psalms 133:1 says, "How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity." That's just one point I want to bring to you. Also, if you ever know, it says about the Lord is good and a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him, but with an overwhelming flood, he will make an end of Nineveh. I don't know if anybody religious study about the history of the Bible and different things of that nature, but I've been in the Army for 20 years, and I've been coming back to my hometown every year, and the water's been rising every year. I've been documenting this for the last 20 years. The water level is a serious issue that this commission needs to take heed to as of right now, because it's a forewarning to what's going to happen towards the future. I'm not really here to discuss the issues about Long Station and different things. Those are going to handle themselves. But the water is a very major issue that personally myself, as a member of Putnam County, Crescent City, I will take heed to what is really going on today. And it's a sign from God about the water in the local area. So I would take heed to that.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Any other comments on this particular issue?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
If I could just provide some information just to let you know that the county attorney's office is also looking at this issue, and we are working with staff. We have done some research. We're continuing to do research. The problem that the county is facing is that what we're dealing with here is a waterway that is regulated not only by the state, but it's also considered part of the intercoastal waterway. So we're dealing with the Coast Guard and the feds on issues. So as far as signage, for example, there are specific regulations that must be followed on the type of signs that can be placed in that waterway, as well as state regulations which limit what the county can do by ordinance based upon what's happening in that section of the river. For example, there's certain things you can do if the issue is a blind corner. There's other things you can do if the issue is traffic congestion. So there's a lot of very specific statutes which kind of tie the hands of the county in saying, okay, you can do an ordinance for no wake here, but you can't do an ordinance for no wake in this situation. You could do a minimum wake in this situation. So it's very complex. And what it comes down to in the end is whatever is done ordinance-wise by the county, specifically, the statute specifically says, any of the ordinances adopted pursuant to this paragraph, which is the specific statute, shall not take effect until the commission, which is the Fish and Wildlife Commission, has reviewed the ordinance and determined by substantial competent evidence that the ordinance is necessary to protect public safety pursuant to this paragraph. So, again, these are very complex issues, and I just want to let you know that the county attorney's office is looking at them and working with staff to come to whatever resolution that we can come to, given the fact that our hands are tied by a number of these statutes and state regulations, as well as federal.
Thank you so much, Ms. Harris.
So I think that's part of the problem we dealt with before, when their issue is public safety, and we're talking about not only public safety, but damage to personal property. Fish and Wildlife, that's not part of their mission. Their mission is public safety.
Statutorily, the legislature wrote this statute specifically at public safety reasons. So, yeah, that's the hill that we have to climb.
Thank you.
So again, a reaction is not acceptable, but a response is. That's what we will do, is to take into consideration all of the legalities as well as the realities of what we're dealing with as it relates to the proposal. Mr. Tim Ho, you want to speak on this issue? If I could. Please come.
Shortly, it's real easy to get tied up with the legalities, which are complex. But some of the basics may very well be people just are unaware. You got a big bass boat and you start running through the creek, and then at what point in time do you say, well, gosh darn? And there should be even as simple as anchoring those lighted signs that they have for DOT. Something to alert boaters going in. Whether it allows enforcement or not, I would prefer that it allow enforcement, but just something to let them know that their wake's going to be doing really bad things.
Yes, sir.
And you don't necessarily have to get tied up with the legalities and what we got to do so we can enforce it. And it might bring relief to these people in Sportsman's Harbor and whatever. Just
yes, sir.
Something.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir. The immediate plan as well as the long-term plan, and I have full confidence in the staff that is assigned to this project, and we will not make a preemptive strike. We will be right on point and in tune with what they bring back to us. Commissioner Pelletier.
Captain Wells, I have one quick question. If we're able to get the wording and the verbiage right on the thing and it's enforceable, what type of dollar value would this citation? I guess the first one would be one amount and the second a higher. I don't know. I'm just curious as to where that would be.
Okay, assuming like the Mr. Manning said that we get it through the state's vesting system, And like he said, they do have a criteria of ranking which they use to decide whether or not this is a valid reason to put an ordinance there, and it's for the overwhelming good. And property damage can be one of the things that can be considered there. I've seen like ordinances elsewhere. I'll have to verify the most recent, but the most recent fine that I saw on a no-wake zone, or like the lady brought up, we do need to look at is the current ordinance reads slow speed, minimal wake. It in my opinion, should read idle speed, no wake. Is about a $165 fine.
Wow.
But like I say, I really think that simply the placing of the signs, we will probably get voluntary compliance. Because I went out myself last Saturday and spent last Saturday on one of our vessels, and every citizen we spoke to, and even every visitor, I saw a lot of Georgia registrations on bass boats. As soon as we explained to them and showed them these properties, idle speed, there was no problem at all. So I think that it is obviously our goal to educate and seek voluntary compliance before we ever consider finding anybody on this. I think one last important note, and then I'll leave this issue to you guys, is we are certainly not advocating for a no-wake zone anywhere in Putnam County except for when we do have the risk of property damage. There is already Florida statute on the books that says every boater is responsible for their wake. So if there's an issue with outside of flood concerns, that we have boats that are traveling too close to shore, rocking other boats, causing wake problems, we can already deal with that with current statute in place. No need for any additional county ordinances, and I just think we need to deal with individual flood zones under their own county ordinance, and we can certainly do that. It is a set of hurdles and some work we'll have to do, but I think we've already started paving the way with Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. They've given us some guidance. They have a whole office in Tallahassee that does nothing but this, and that's liaison to county governments for this type of ordinance. And while it may take some time, I think we can get there.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this item? Let's take a 5-minute recess, and we'll be back in session. Forward to the next item, which is item 7, public comment. Ms. Faye Sparkman, you are the first speaker for public comment. Please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have 2 really great things today. Tonight at 5:30 in this room, our Representative Van Zant will be here, and our brand-new Senator, Travis Hudson, so I can't wait to meet him, so I hope all of you will be there. The next thing is I want to give Station 4 and Station 17, our fire department, is one of the greatest hellos, and thank you for a job well done. It seems that a week or so ago there was a big fire on the Alachua County Hawthorne line. Alachua County actually owns the Hawthorne Station. So they were there, Station 4 was there, Station Melrose was there, 17 went. So I went to a meeting Monday night and I asked, because there was a rumor going around that Station 4 wasn't there. Chief Gary Warren was there with our truck. While he was there, we had another fire in Interlochen, which our assistant fire chief took more volunteers and went and saved that structure. But the structure on the Hawthorne-Alachua County line, they couldn't save. One of the Alachua County firefighters got hurt at that scene. So I just want to thank all of our people in our area for the good job that they do. And I'm very proud of them. I'm glad we have them. And please leave them alone. Just do what they need. The other thing is, I'd like to have an update on County Road 315. It seems that it's tentatively somewhere, but people don't understand. That's our main artery in the west end of the county. And it holds a lot of people, sometimes more cars and trucks than on Highway 20. And the email said that we're somewhere maybe next year at this time, but there's more roads more important. I'm sorry, 315 is an important road too. So maybe you guys could check that out. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Sparkman. We do again reiterate the legislative delegation meeting this afternoon at 5:30, and we support and always trying to find ways to fund our professionals who are in fire service. So thank you for those observations. Any other public comments? Please come forward. State your name and address for the record. We ask that if you are willing to please fill out a comment card so that if we need to follow up on any of your comments, we will know how to contact you, but it is an option. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner, staff. My name is Tyrone Brown from Crescent City.
Address, please.
Address is 140 3rd Street, Crescent City, Florida.
Thank you.
32112. Any other information?
That's good.
Okay. The two things that I want to bring to the commissioner and his staff is the area, they call it Long Station,
Sure.
the outer skirts of Crescent City, Florida. The one question I have for you all is, why is that area getting neglected? You know, I hear a lot of money coming into the community, and I'm just trying to figure out what is going on. Why is that area getting neglected? I have my assumptions, but I don't want to believe those assumptions. I just want to get a full understanding of why that area is getting neglected. I don't need a response today.
Actually, I would like to respond,
Okay.
if I may. We have had a problem with the grass growing up all over the county. It's not just
It's more than just grass, ma'am.
your area.
Yeah.
And are you talking about the trees?
No, it's more than that, ma'am.
What are you referring to? We can't.
Let him
Don't
finish
worry,
his
that's
presentation.
just something to think about. That's just something I want to bring to you all's attention, because what was brought to my attention is no one from that area comes to these meetings, so nobody knows anything about it. So those are some things that I want you all to think about. I'm not here to discuss anything. I'm just here to bring those to the attention of the commissioners and their staff. The second point I want to bring is why are you all allowing Judge Patty Christensen to sentence innocent black men and women, sending them to prison, taking them away from their wife and kids? That is your judge. That is your judge. That's the judge that you all elected. I voted every year since I've been in the Army. Even though I'm not here, I voted. In every election, everything. I gave you all 20 years to fix this problem. Why are black men like Kelly William Anderson III, my brother, sitting in prison for something he didn't do? Why is his friend, Richard Harris, sitting in prison right now for something that he didn't do, and he came from your county, Putnam County? Yes, Kelly William Anderson is my brother. We have the same mother, different fathers. Surprise, I'm here. And also, Jeff Hardy. Why is he allowing all of this against our young black men and women in this Putnam County that I grew up in to happen? There's no reason he does not know what is going on in his county. No way. There is no way possible. I could have been one of those black men or young women in prison right now, but I had a different choice. You know why? Because God protected me. My whole life, 38 years. I lived in Putnam County for 38 years of my whole life. I came back to this community to come back to help my family with the situation. Why does my 74-year-old mother have to sit down there and struggle with things that you all should be taking care of? I shouldn't have to come back to take care of her. I should come back to say, hello, Mom, how you doing? I retired from the Army. I'm here to help you out. That's your job. Now, just like I told everyone, I'm here on a spiritual mission. It's nothing personal, a spiritual mission. I am a bishop, member of the NAACP, member of the ACLU. I got many different titles, but my mission is spiritual. It is a spiritual mission. Don't take it personal. Do not take anything I say personal. It's nothing against anyone here. It's just some things and some issues that need to be addressed in this community, and I'm here to speak up for the representatives of Long Station, Crescent City, Florida. Another question, where did Long Station come from? I've been told that for 38 years, but when I call over here and ask, no one knows where Long Station is located at. How can you not know where your community is located at? That's just some things that I have. You know, the First Amendment, freedom of speech, right? Yes, I have that right. So that means I can say what I want to say as long as I don't break any laws. Now, I'm going to ask this clearly. Did I break any laws? Have I just broken any laws?
No, sir.
Okay,
You
so
wouldn't
if I
still be
get
standing
pulled,
there if you had broken some laws.
so if I get pulled over by one of your cops and they try to harass me, guess what? I'm going to sue you. I'm just letting everyone know. That's my public comment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Brown,
God
for your
bless.
commentary. Are there any other speakers? Thank you for coming.
Good morning.
Good morning.
John Spells, 106 Citrus Lane. I got a few topics I want to speak on today. I know it's going to be a few of y'all kind of upset, but at the end of the day, you're going to be all right. I was at the workshop meeting last week, and I noticed that Moody Road and St. John Avenue was brought up at the meeting. Now, it's 5 of y'all up here as commissioners, and I'm just wondering, you know, have y'all actually traveled around this county enough to know there's a whole lot of worse condition roads than to be going through the extreme of trying to use eminent domain to retrieve the property that I'm part ownership on Moody Road? Now, I don't mean to put nobody on the spot, but I'm just going to put it where it is. But I would like to ask one of the commissioners a question.
Mr. Spells, hold on 1 second. That is on the agenda.
I understand that.
Okay, so don't discuss that until we get to that. Everything else you want to discuss, go ahead and feel free to discuss.
Well, all this coming in together.
I know, but if you're discussing this, it's on the agenda. The rules require we can reset your time.
Okay.
All I'm saying to you is this issue is on the agenda. It is appropriate for you to discuss it at that time. Everything else you want to discuss, to do that now in the public comments.
Mr. Flagg, if you don't mind, my point is a circle. I'm bringing it all together. If you would allow me to actually, you know, finish it, then you can see where I'm coming from.
If your subject is about the eminent domain for the sidewalk project on Moody Road, we're going to discuss that, Mr. Spell, and I'm just asking you, out of respect, to bring that issue up when we get to it.
Well, the respect of it all, Mr. Flagg, is I'm making a circle with it. If you will let me finish it.
Make your circle, Mr.
Okay. All right. My thing of it is, I was at the workshop. Y'all mentioned Moody Road, St. John Avenue. And I also overheard you mention about how rough St. John Avenue as far as the ambulance and all, and it needs to be fixed. Okay, but then I stopped and I went to thinking, if St. John Avenue is so bad and so rough that it needs to be fixed, why haven't no one had enough consideration for the firefighters in East Palatka at the volunteer fire station? I watched them out there washing the trucks, and there's potholes all in the parking lot. So why would you even have any concern of them driving down the road going to the hospital when they can stumble and fall coming out the fire station? And I also really realized my aunt filled out a blue card at the last meeting, and that blue card was passed on to one of the employees, and he come back there and he sat down and whispered in her ear. Now, she sat out there patiently enough to wait and listen to what everybody else said, and her blue card was removed. In other words, she was overlooked as far as what I've seen, in which I feel like she deserved an apology because she sat there as well as everybody else, and then her card was just shuffled to the side, but yet everybody else had a chance to speak. And I look at some of the things that's actually being done, I don't feel like it's fair, because if I'm not mistaken, rumor going around is if you're purchasing some property somewhere across from your church, okay? I look at that little Stillwell Road, it's paved. St. John, it get paved. Moody, get paved. Everything in your area will be paved, but then you got right there in East Palatka, there's mud holes and potholes right along Lewis Briar Road, and it's really sickening to go down those streets and look at the bushes that tall right along the sidewalk and mud holes. You ain't got that much traffic going down Moody Road to Walmart, but yet you want to fix Moody Road, you want to do all of this here. You really need to take time and ride through the area in which me and you rode, some of the back streets over on the north side, and it's really pathetic to go down the road and you're leaning like that there and all you got is patches in the road. So, you know, I know all of y'all as commissioners, y'all need to stop all of this. They're just picking certain spots, go around and take care of the areas that badly need it, and stop sending the crews out there with shovels, throwing asphalt in potholes, and just say they'll be all right because they don't come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spell. Any other public comments? Good morning.
My name is Lou K. Moore, 117 Gladys Avenue, East Palatka, Florida. I have a few issues that I want to speak on. I don't know whether this is the time or not, but they're just comments. First of all, about 117 Gladys Avenue. Well, I know my husband, Reverend K. Moore, complained about paving our road. Well, when they were paving 207, they came down and I asked the guy, one of the workers, I say, "Are you going to pave?" He said, "Yeah, we're going to pave the road." Well, no, they didn't. They just did something to hush us up. That's what they did. They came and put the milling on the road, but then they go down the Stone Road. They actually paved Stone Road and left our road. They passed by Kelly Street, and the money was there to pave Kelly Street and Gladys Avenue way back in the 80s or 90s. The money was put there, but nothing has been done. The bushes out there on Gladys Avenue, nobody cuts them. They don't even come out there to cut our street. It's a county road. They don't come and cut anything. And then we go to the Dog Branch Road, the canal. You go out in Rebels Farm, you clean that canal out 4 and 5 times a year. But across 207 on the west side, where all of the residents live, nothing is done. And from my understanding with the paper, you got money for a grant to do that. And then you want to take the money that was appropriated, the grant was appropriated to clean that canal. That canal has not been cleaned out by the county since 1982. The lady that lives over there, her house has been flooded 3 times. She can't get insurance on it. They will not insure her because of that canal backing up. So I don't see anything that's being done that needs. We all are taxpayers, but we get nothing for our money. We don't get anything for our money. And you know, people are tired. And this is one thing, and this is my last, and I'm going to sit down. Politicians work for themselves. They don't work for the constituents anymore. And that's just how I feel about it. But I stopped coming to the meeting because nothing have been done that said, that you all said was going to be done. Now, concerning the highways, the canal, if the money was appropriated to clean, we don't need no study. Why do we need a study to clean a canal? We don't need it. And it's a simple, easy job. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. K. Moore.
Robert Bly, 116 Sand Lake Drive. Good morning.
Morning.
I just have one issue today. It's a big issue. We need to get working on it. I'm not sure what the commissioners are talking about right now about the animal control facility. But I want to bring to your attention that this week we have an outbreak of parvo. And all of those animals out there right now potentially could have parvo. A lot of animals that have gone to homes already have probably got parvo. Parvo will kill a dog quickly. Not quick enough, but it's almost a certain death sentence. What we have out there is a bad design. When you clean out one stall, you're actually taking the waste and forcing it into the stalls down the hill as it's being cleaned out. And parvo gets spread through the waste. So each dog along the line is being exposed to the parvo. What we really need is we need a new facility. This facility could be done using Better Place Plan funds, and I'm not sure what everyone's opinion is or how important that is to them. But I believe that it's something that has to be done soon. I don't think it can wait. I think that the facility out there right now we're doing a great job, I think, of trying to do things to get animals put in homes. I think that's a good thing. We're working together with, a lot of people are coming together to try and get this done. Animal adoption centers open now, that's good. But the facility that we use at the landfill, it's inadequate for what we really need. No one wants to go to the landfill and adopt an animal. You just don't want to go to a landfill and look at animals. And the smells, the noises, there are a lot of things out there the animals are exposed to that they shouldn't be, people are exposed to that they shouldn't be. And I just feel like it's time for this to be an issue that we all agree on and we get working on as soon as possible.
So you don't think we're working on it, sir? Is that what you're saying?
I'd like to know what you are doing.
Oh, okay. I think you do know, but, if you just want to, make your point, go ahead and continue.
What I said was I wasn't sure how you all felt about this facility and how important it was, or whether or not this was a top priority.
I think it's crystal clear to you and to all who have been in our meetings that it is a priority and that we are making some progressive steps to make things better. The outbreak is certainly an unfortunate incident that no one could have predicted, and we're dealing with it. We have staff that's dealing with this issue, and we're moving forward.
All right.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other public comment? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Roxana Regan Weeks for Loring Streets in Augustine, Florida. I wasn't going to speak at public comments. I'm here to address another issue on the agenda, but in light of what I just heard, I feel I need to. I do not feel the commission or the animal control facility itself or its leaders at planning and development or the sheriff's department, when they had it previously, have ever been proactive, have ever felt this was a priority. In the last year, the public image has deteriorated. No one is finding out information. It is a fight to get things done. I make public records requests. They're ignored. And the whole thing is this issue that you just stated about predicting parvo, the first dog that came out of there was August 26, 7 weeks ago, that had parvo. That should have this dog that came out this last weekend that went to a rescue was the 5th dog that we know of, that we've documented. Parvo is a highly contagious infectious disease. As a result, what they do in the past, I don't know what they're doing today, but what they have done in the past is have a mass kill. They just kill everything in the kennels, bleach the place, and start again. And we keep getting told that, in the matter of being proactive, that they give everybody parvo shots on intake. Not everybody, every animal, parvo shots on intake. I don't see then how it keeps spreading through the kennels. The kennels are filthy. The whole place is filthy. And until that facility is addressed, you're not going to get away from this. The other issue is, as far as being proactive, you should really stop putting out misinformation to the public. The kill stats that are cited are inaccurate. And that is documented by the county's own monthly stats that they pulled out. When I have kill stats going back to 2009. And at that point, the kill rate was 50%. Jump ahead to 2012, it was 53. In 2013, it's 56%. And that's just dogs and cats. I'm not figuring other animals such as horses or pigs or anything like that. And you're really going down the tubes on this animal issue here. Everybody judges people by how they treat animals, your public image of that, and you're not getting anywhere with that. It's getting worse. And I'm glad to see the reason I came today was to address Mr. Leary about the Animal Control Advisory Board. But it's time you pulled your head out of your butts and really address the animal issue. It's that simple. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weeks. Any other public comments?
I've been out of town for a while, so I may have missed something, but I'm just kind of wondering. It seems before I left, Mr. McIntyre was offering $250,000 to make a new facility for the animal control. I don't understand what happened.
Any other public comments? I close public comments and move to the consent agenda. Item 8, the consent agenda, Commissioners, consists of A, list of committee minutes and recommendations distributed to become part of the record. B, list of correspondence distributed to become part of the record. C is administration declare surplus, authorize solicitation offers and bids on 111 Matthews Road in Crescent City, Florida. D, administration Meridian Behavioral Health Care 2015-2016 funding agreement in the amount of $40,000 for the provision of general mental health and substance use services, including Baker Act. E is appointment Interlaken Boulevard MSBU Advisory Committee, Ron McCarthy. F, administration sheriff's budget amendment resolution, $78,593 to record revenue and allow for the expenditure of grants for drug investigation enforcement. G, administration allow fair authority to make decisions regarding sale and use of alcohol at fairgrounds. H, Chamber of Commerce Tourist Development Council recommendation, September 23rd, 2015. I, General Services, list of surplus inventory. J, Sanitation Task Order number 143, Jones Edmonds and Associates, $84,000. Contamination Assessment Services for fiscal year 2015-16 for Huntington and Central Landfills. K is Sanitation Task Order number 105, Amendment number 3, Jones Edmonds and Associates Incorporated, $89,300. Central Landfill Mining Contract Dispute Resolution, Technical Expertise. L, tax collector request to extend the 2015 tax roll prior to completion of the Value Adjustment Board. M, administration ship housing rehabilitation funds up to $30,000. N, administration ship emergency repairs funds up to $10,000. O, administration contract award Armstrong Contracting Services Incorporated, $218,560 for the Interlaken Community Center project. P, public works change order number 2, Halifax Paving Incorporated, $202,468. County Road 209, which is West River Road, milling and resurfacing. Guardrail, and the source of the funding is the FDOT SCOP agreement. Commissioners, items G, J, K, O, and P are the ones that are pulled before voting on the consent agenda for discussion. Are there any other items that need to be pulled for discussion purposes?
I have none, Mr. Chair, but if you could give me G, K, and...
G, J, K, O, P. Oh, we have.
Got it.
The ones with the asterisk. Any others? Commissioner Harris?
None.
I have none.
I have none, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we will go to item G. We do have Mr. J.R. Newbold with us, or
No,
had
he
him
left.
with us, but our staff attorney is, I think, prepared, or the administrator is prepared to tell us the necessity of the request and a recommendation that is before us. Page 28.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did get a request from the Fair Authority, and the chairman of the Fair Authority Board was in attendance, but I guess he had to leave. We got a request from the Fair Authority for the board to consider transferring to the Fair Authority the ability to make a determination as to whether or not the sale or dispensation of alcohol would be, whether you would be willing to consider transferring the authority to that entity to consider on a case-by-case basis utilizing, transferring the authority to that group to determine whether or not entities utilizing the fairgrounds could dispense that beverage on a case-by-case basis. In the past, requests have come to you when entities have wanted to rent those facilities, but now that some rehabilitation to the Judy Rollins building has been complete, Fair Authority is anticipating a more frequent usage of that building, and we're thinking that it be more expedient for the Fair Authority to be able to make that decision, as requests for rental of those facilities will be coming in more frequently. There is a lease or rental agreement that is prepared and reviewed by administration and legal when necessary for the rental of that facility on a case-by-case basis. Mr. Castleberry, Mr. Manning, I think, have taken a look at the issue of transferring the authority to the Fair Authority for the consideration of the granting permission of utilizing alcohol at the fairgrounds. That Mr. Castleberry, Mr. Manning may wish to comment on that.
The board can clearly delegate that authority to the Fair Authority.
Commissioners? My concern would be related to, of course, the revision of the agreement there, and I think that the legal department and administration, you know, as long as that is a part of the review process, so from a liability perspective and the legalities of it, number one, the form needs to be revised if the commission goes along with this. And then number two, as long as there is a routing system where it is not authorized by the authority per se, but it actually is, it meets their approval, and then it comes over here for an administrative review through both administration and legal, and then the authority happens after that happens, rather than it to be an assumption that it's going to be approved.
Well, the process for the rental agreement that's currently in place is that the Fair Authority evaluates a request to rent the facility. They prepare the rental agreement, which is pretty much a standard agreement that was developed, I think, by Mr. Castleberry some years ago. They process that rental agreement. They send it over to administration for sign-off. That agreement could, in the future, have language incorporated into it that would be prepared either by Mr. Manning or Mr. Castleberry that would include language when and if the dispensation of alcohol is involved, so that we would know in advance as to whether or not that particular privilege is being granted.
Mr. Lible.
While I have complete respect for your concerns, I have concerns about competitiveness with St. John's and particularly Clay counties in the fair business and the structures or facilities as it relates to venues and them being able to access us in a timely manner. We're going to have to get more progressive, and this is one measure that we're going to do it. I certainly agree that we need the oversight to the point that we are doing exactly that, but I don't want to slow us down because we have a unique fairground. We're right in the middle. How many fairgrounds can you name in north central Florida that sit in a municipality with hotels, restaurants, and all the amenities around it? Most of them are out in Timbuktu, to be honest with you. We have a unique opportunity here, and I just want to enhance it, and I hope my other commissioners will too.
Yes, sir.
To address your concern, the delegation of authority could be, the motion will be to delegate that authority contingent upon county administrator and county attorney approval of each one of the leases that comes through. So that way it would be required to be reviewed and initialed off on by those two.
As long as the review is not an option and that it happens after the fact and that we found out later. I understand the necessity of it not having to wait for the commission meeting because time is of the essence when you do have those events. Commissioners?
I was going to agree with you, Commissioner Flagg. Time is of the essence when people want to rent that facility for such proceedings, but I also agree with Commissioner Lible. We do have a unique fairgrounds over there, and we certainly, I don't think, use it near to the ability that it should be.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the language Mr. Manning is referring to is contained in the proposed motion, or in the recommended action.
Okay. Thank you very kindly. Item J, Sanitation Task Order Number 143, Jones Edmond and Associates, Contamination Assessment, and K, the Task Order Number 105, Amendment Number 3. Mr. Gast, just overview comments just for the benefit of the record.
The Task Order 143, the Contamination Assessment, will be putting additional contamination detection wells on the Wilkinson's property south of us, and they will go into the contamination assessment profile. On the, have to excuse me, I've got a cold here.
Two of you.
Yes, allergies.
Task Order 105 was the support work that Jones Edmonds did with us for the mediation process for the landfill mining, which was their alternate proposals and everything else that they put together for our legal staff in the in the mediation process.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Gass, that net savings that this firm saved in mediation was how much?
It was almost $1 million.
To the taxpayers of this county?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very kindly. Item O,
Chairman,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
As much as I appreciate the $920,000 savings, does this ever end? It seems like every week we have something from Jones Edmond concerning the landfill. And that's just I just really want to know, when is that going to stop? I know they helped us save money, but so did our attorneys. And so did the company willing to take $1 million hit almost. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you owe me $1 million, you're going to pay me $1 million. So something else went on. But this price right here, it just seems like every meeting we have, there's an additional cost at landfill that we don't have the expertise, but yet we say we're experts in landfill. It just gives me heartburn, I'm telling you. I appreciate the savings.
Mr. Leary, will we not continue, since the type of contract and the expertise that Jones Edmonds and Associates bring to the table, that is going to always be an expense as long as we're in the landfill business, correct?
Well, certainly we're always going to need outside engineering expertise for, landfill matters, whether it's Jones Edmonds or some other firm. But as it relates specifically to item K, I mean, this is a one-time expenditure. But if you had been at the mediation, certainly there was an awful lot of background work, an awful lot of hours spent in meetings with legal counsel in preparing for the mediation itself. A lot of technical work was done behind the scenes outside of the meetings held with legal counsel to prepare for that meeting. But if you had been at the actual mediation, there was a great deal of testimony for about 2 hours on the technical aspects of the landfill matter itself. Most of which was dominated by Mr. Hal Boudreau with Jones Edmonds, who is no longer with Jones Edmonds, by the way. But that was largely turned into the Hal Boudreau show, and I would venture to say without the expertise of Mr. Boudreau and Jones Edmonds, we probably would not have prevailed and been as fortunate as we were in the outcome.
Okay. Thank you very kindly. Any other questions or concerns? Item O, Administration Contract Award, Armstrong Contract and Services Incorporated, in the amount of $218,560, the Interlaken Community Center Project. Mr. Leary?
Yes, sir. We took bids several weeks ago on that project. The initial bids, we had 2 bidders. Both bids were more than the budgeted amount. The apparent low bidder, Armstrong Contracting Services, Inc., indicated a willingness to sit down with the county and to negotiate a lower bid figure. We have successfully negotiated that figure, largely due to the cooperation of the contractor. He has reworked the scope of services, willing to reduce the amount of that bid figure to actually bring it in under the budgeted amount while still providing a very serviceable and functional building for the county. So the final number arrived at is $218,560. So we think that's going to provide us in the final analysis a functional building that will serve the community well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Item P.
And that final change order item is for the West River Road project. This amount is for the guardrail system on two bridges. This is a FDOT SCOP agreement funded project.
Thank you very kindly. Entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Proper motion?
Second.
Second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you so much for the explanations and the details for the benefit of the public as well. Item 9 on the agenda, we have with us Brian Teeple and Lindsay Haga, Northeast Florida Regional Council, who have been patiently or impatiently, I don't know which, waiting for the opportunity to come and to talk with us about the State Housing Initiative Program, status update and action plan. They kind of just work, and now they're going to give us an opportunity to get a synopsis and an overview of some of the details. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Brian Teeple. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Northeast Florida Regional Council, and with me is Lindsay Haga, who administers your Putnam County SHIP program. First of all, no apologies necessary, Mr. Chairman. I'm a local government junkie, and I watch it on TV, oftentimes much to my wife's chagrin.
So you're enjoying yourself tremendously today.
Well, it's yes, sir. I know it's kind of geeky and wonky, but it's me. Let's just get started. Today we're going to talk to you a little bit about the general program description about what the SHIP program does and how it operates. We'll delve into the local housing assistance plan. Lindsay will take over at that point. We'll talk about your Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, what's their role, and then finally, how are we going to operate in this coming fiscal year, which just started. The SHIP program provides local support for affordable housing through the Sadowski Housing Trust Fund. That is for low, very low, and moderate income families. They have 3 general programs within the SHIP: emergency repair, rehabilitation, and construction or purchase. The repair projects really are designed to expand production within your local community and preserve affordable housing. Without some of those repairs and emergency repairs, those facilities, those buildings could really become uninhabitable and condemned, and if you can keep them in a fashion that they are standard housing at an affordable rate, I think it helps the community. The SHIP program is governed by State Statutes 420 and the associated administrative rule, and the money comes through the documentary stamps, and I'll get into that in just a moment. When the SHIP program was established, 10 cents of every dollar of documentary stamps was programmed into the SHIP program. You can see this table here goes back to 1997 and 98. Kind of bounced along through the years, and you can see the huge spike in 08 and 09. Of course, that was the top of the housing bubble before everything went awry. That, combined with the legislature beginning to take larger percentages out of the trust fund, sweeping those dollars for other purposes within state budget, really dropped the SHIP program down to 0 in fiscal year 10 and 11. In 11 and 12, you got about $350,000 that came from settlement money that was ministered by Attorney General Pam Bondi. The next year, 12-13, down to 0 again. 13-14, up to $350,000, which is the state minimum. And then this last year, $396,000, just slightly above, based upon population. As you can see, we were steady and stably and kind of increasing up until the housing bust, and since then, it has been Mr. Frog's wild ride. Some years you have money, some years you don't have money, and it's a really difficult program to administer based upon not knowing what your allocation is going to be and really where we would hope to see, and you see that a little bit in the most recent fiscal year, we hope to see, based upon statewide dock stamps going up, the economy's improving, we're having more development going on, we're having more real estate transfers, which is really what the documentary stamps come from. We're kind of hoping to see an increase in that. But the legislature, of course, can sweep that trust fund at any point in time and drop you back down to zero. So kind of a very, very brief history. We've been operating the program here in Putnam County since the second year it was created. We were approached by the county to take over from your provider who initially had it, so we've been here for the entire time. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay, who'll get into more specific details.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lindsay Haga with the Regional Council. And now I see that we have the presentation in front of you at your places and then for the audience. The main points that I want to walk us quickly through are the Local Housing Assistance Plan. That's our LHAP. The Commission approved that plan in May of this year after a recommendation by your Affordable Housing Committee. Why that is important is that's your local guidelines to implement the state rules that we work with. Essentially, the SHIP program, as you know, is income-based, and we get those incomes from HUD, and the Florida Housing Finance Corporation provides us with the annual updates. That's based off of the median household income. So, I mean, there's a methodology that we use for the census data to get the median household income, but for 2013, all households, that was combined to be $43,000. So then when we evaluate our applicants, it's based on household size and then a percentage of that number. So it deviates depending on what county that you're in because it's based on the demographics for your area. Generally, your LHAP, or your Local Housing Assistance Plan, includes your strategies. Those are the ones that Brian mentioned. If we're doing disaster relief, emergency repair, housing rehabilitation, or participating in new construction. And it also has other goals on how we would implement the policies that you have within your local comprehensive plan. The next series of slides are graphics of Putnam County, just walking through some demographics to get a feel for the county, and then we'll end on looking at fiscal year 13-14 and the number of homes that were helped. So this is your population based on 2010 census. You can see the darker colors indicate where your population centers are. We've called out the different commissioner districts and then the municipalities within the county to really show just generally where you have your areas of housing, where your people are located, and where then obviously their homes would be located. This one is interesting to me is the age showing by census block of whatever the age range in Putnam County, mainly between 33 and 49, but you see in the darker red colors, those are our elderly populations where we have 64 to 93 years. And that's a key point to look at because some of our dollars come with asterisks that we need to focus and prioritize on our elderly population. So that affects which applicants get assisted. So it's an interesting point. This one, I hope you can see the clusters. We meant to keep it at this scale so we wouldn't reveal any privacy of where the homes are being helped, but you see really within Palatka is the main cluster of the homes that have been rehabilitated during fiscal year 13-14. We're walking through the total award amount that the county received was $350,000, and when you carry forward your dollars that weren't spent from the prior years, you had a little bit more to work with. Just some stats, and this was taken in a snapshot, and it does not represent our end of the year final, so we should know that. But the minimum contract amount is about $9,000. That would represent our emergency repair. You know, we had that cap of $10,000. And then our maximum contract award, that's your standard housing rehabilitation, when it's a little bit more of what emergency repair can do, and there's more repairs to the home that we need to accomplish. And the highest age served, I have here 62 plus, but it's been into the 90s. It's the elderly that you help through the SHIP program. Okay, so back to the plan. Recently, and that was in May of this year, our Affordable Housing Advisory Committee recommended for approval your plan for the next 3 years. So fiscal year 15-16, 16-17, 17-18, and it covers those strategies that we address for compliance: emergency repair, rehabilitation, home purchase, and disaster relief. It also includes the role of this board as the elected body, and then your advisory committee. What are you all supposed to do, and what is the advisory committee supposed to do? And then a very important chart, it has our housing delivery goals chart. So it's a snapshot to look at which strategies we're going to focus on for those 3 fiscal years, which incomes we're going to focus on, and then the monies that are allotted. And you have to range that because there is some fluctuation. Hopefully we get bids in that aren't hitting our maximum amount. There's more money back into the allocation pot, and then we can help more people than we initially forecast. It is important to note that you can make amendments to your plan at any time that you want, but you're required to do it for our updates for our 3 years. Okay, so this is just a snapshot. Your local housing plan has the housing delivery goals chart in it, but what I wanted to draw your attention to is this represents what our goal is for fiscal year 15-16, and you can see by the tallies on the left-hand side, we're projecting to hit 15 homes. That's 15 homeowners. That's not a lot when you think about in mass of what you get. And then the dollar amount, we're working with a little over $360,000 for the 15-16 year, and you can see on the left-hand side of your screen the strategies: disaster relief, home purchase, and rehabilitation, and emergency repair. And then you see on the top it runs by income category, and the focus is on very low and low income, with just with a 3 total assigned for moderate income. So you can see our focus is on rehabilitation, and then rehabilitation of those applicants that are in the very low and low income strategies. And I want to just place that in your mind, because that'll affect, again, which applicants get helped, and it may not just necessarily mean when you file your application date, because of those are your targets. Another interesting point to bring up, and this is what the text says at the bottom of this slide, is in fiscal year 11-12, we had a goal set for 2 home purchases. You have that 3-year window. Your plan covers the 3 fiscal years. So when you hit those 2, we may be able to hit them in the first fiscal year, and then you've reached that goal, or you may be able to hit them one year and miss a year. Or in this case, what we had is during fiscal year 13-14, we also had 2 additional home purchases for that target year. So that's an interest when you start to look at how you address your goals over the 3 fiscal years and how they overlap with prior years. You can see where there are different strategies. Why that's important is when we do home purchases, our local contractors aren't really involved in that type of strategy, because you're buying an existing home. Now your strategy does provide for if a homeowner has a foreclosure and that also needs rehabilitation, that can be a combination, but it's been our experience that the applicants that we assist through down payment assistance on home purchase, the home does not require any repair and it's not coming through as a foreclosure. So that's an example we wanted to get with some of the, when we had our questions with some of our contractors, was why is this happening now? You had an overlap of home purchases. Okay, so our Affordable Housing Committee, the role of our Affordable Housing Committee comes to us from Florida statutes on what they can do, and essentially what they're meant to do, and then how many people need to be on the committee, and then what areas they need to represent. The statutes pull out 2 main important points. The committee will advise you, the commission, the local governing body, on your local housing assistance plan. We were just talking about that. So that's strategies. It also has recommendations for how the monies can be leveraged and how partnerships can be made. So more of that community impact analysis of how you can make your dollars go farther. The other role of the committee would be the triennial review, looking back to see on the last 3 fiscal years, looking at all of the strategies. Did you hit your goals in a timely manner? Did you achieve? Was the money spent? Did you forecast correctly? Could you have done other things? And then also evaluating your comprehensive plan, your local land development regulations, to giving you all recommendations for what things could be changed that could make providing housing a little more affordable. And that's your role of the Affordable Housing Committee. We meet quarterly. We staff that board for you, your committee, and I think you have a couple appointments maybe on your agenda today for that. We meet quarterly, and we provide them with the financial spreadsheets to review for what's happened since the last time we met. We give them copies of the contract, the winning bids, we say, but the bids that were selected by the building department, so they can see by strategy which bids and then what type of improvements are being made. You all appoint those committee memberships, and there are certain statutory guidelines that you would need to meet. So far, I haven't been able to find. One of our discussions has been, I think it came under comment, is what is the role of the Affordable Housing Committee regarding home purchases. And I haven't found in the statute where it gives the Affordable Housing Committees or any local body that role in reviewing recommendations for compliance with the state guidelines. It's essentially that's given to you on your certificates of eligibility. The guidelines are straightforward as far as the income. That's where, it's an income base. You have to have documentation to support that. If they meet those criteria, then they're presented to you for your certificate of eligibility. But again, so this slide's pointing out how we staff for you. We're an extension of your staff and what representatives we have from your county. One key point during our April meeting with the Affordable Housing Committee while we were reviewing the local housing plan was how the county could or could not, they explored leveraging a partnership with Habitat for Humanity. I really wouldn't get focused on Habitat for Humanity, but the main point would be leveraging partnerships with other providers of affordable housing, and how could any of your allocations, which were limited funding, could be leveraged efficiently to get more housing out, but still meet your criteria for income and proving that. And so you're not just giving away money, and that it is part of the program. So they had a really healthy discussion. We weren't able to get that in the final draft to go to the local housing plan, and that's something that we continue to have. We had another discussion briefly about that at our August meeting, and will be an agenda item for our upcoming meeting in November. So that's and that hits the key point for the Affordable Housing Committee as what their role is to discuss those community partnerships, sort of ferret out how the pros and cons of any approach, to give you that recommendation to see if that's something the commission would explore, and therefore allocate dollars towards that approach. Okay. So what brought us here today is there's been a couple of hiccups. And one of the hiccups has been our wait list. And this slide tries to break it down really quickly. We have different spreadsheets that you want to look at, but we have 87 applicants that make up our wait list. We've closed the application process, meaning taken in any new applications, because we can quickly do the math on what we have. Our housing delivery goals chart estimates about 15 homes or units per year times 3 fiscal years. That means 45 applicants that we'd be able to help. 45 is less than 87. Some of these will shake out. Some may have withdrawn themselves from the program if they've handled maybe their improvements, they've gotten assistance elsewhere. We will know that as we continue to work through our list, but we're not adding to the list anymore. So what we're trying to present to you today is reality number one. We have more folks than dollars, and this is a reality for any of the SHIP programs that are that are municipal or countywide within the region or across the state. Continuing, so I touched on this a little bit about how we have asterisks spent for some of our money. So per state mandate, 20% of the allocation we have for our 15-16 fiscal year will be spent for special needs. Special needs is defined in the statute, and they generally cover disabled, victims of domestic violence, aged out foster children, and the elderly. So when we look at our 87 applicants that are on the wait list, we have to shuffle the deck, if you will, to see if they hit those special needs. We need to do that for you so that when we give our annual reports to the state, we know that we can show compliance, that we're meeting that minimum 20%. We do, it seems to be that a lot of our applicants align with disabled and elderly, so we can get that, but it does affect really your order of when you'll be served or when you can be helped. And again, as I mentioned, our housing delivery goals chart, our priorities for these 3 years, we want to focus on very low and low. Okay, so what does that mean? Reality number two is that we've got external factors that influence which homeowners will be served. And really that's key to know. If I filed on this date, it's been a year, why haven't I been assisted? Some of that is timing on your application, but if you're not hitting that very low, if you're a moderate income applicant seeking a home purchase, that is not the same level priority as 20% that we're helping a disabled elderly person on a very low income. So that'll affect your application. And then lastly, this gets into our business as you being an extension of your staff as we transition between administrators. So that was a hiccup or a valley, whichever way you want to look at that. We had a slowdown in applicant recommendations to the commission, also coupled with housing purchase. So that meant that you did not have any work going out to your contractors as far as the contractors that bid. So between that, you hit a lull on the types of application, on the number that's coming out, and then the ones that you were presented with were home purchase, which they're going off, they're going to go purchase a home. So the good news is you've had two applicants today. Those are emergency repair and rehab. There were 2 others that were approved, so we've got 4 coming in the queue, if you will, that'll go out, and then we'll have a spat of work. That can't continue. We can't just do sort of work by fire that way. So we've taken some action steps, and with the help of your administration, I have a little office off to the side there. We have on-site office hours, which now is the 3rd Thursday of the month, so I'll be here Thursday morning. The point of that is to meet with our applicants. Part of this program, because it's income-based, we have to take in a lot of paperwork to approve and confirm that you're meeting those income strategies. And you can imagine that email is not the one method of communication that I have with the applicant. So we traditionally mail things back and forth, which affects the delay. But by having on-site office hours, we've made arrangements. We have appointments. People can come in. I can see their materials, and we can, more importantly, when I need them, get them to sign for their income certification. We're there. We can have that done. It can get notarized. We get business done. Also, so action steps to make improvements so that we have a good program for you. Again, we're shifting in our LHAP goals, which is more construction-based activities, and then our enhanced program support. I was speaking with Mr. Matthew during our break, and it's all about there's only one person, and if we work 5 days a week, how we get all the people out. But with Brian, I have a great team at the council, and then for you. So Brian provides us with that policy and oversight. That's that coordination we need to give you for our annual report and make sure we're compliant with the state. We need to be compliant with the state so that the county continues to receive the money. Donna Starling is our financial compliance officer, our director, and she keeps us straight to make sure those dollars are correct, and she works with Tia Atkinson, so we make sure that we're seeing the same dollars that come through, because if we've got extra carryover dollars, we need to have make sure those monies, they go back into the pot so that we can help homes. I'm Lindsay, I'm your main program administrator, and then we have another staffer, Carol Main, so that we can field phone calls and give out information, because a lot of that is customer service to the homeowners or just folks checking in on their application and they need to get information. So with that, that was a brief summary of where we are in our action plan. Come visit me on third Thursdays of the month on the other side. I'm there from 9 to 12. And that's also available for anybody that's interested in the SHIP program, any of the commissioners or any of our contractors. If they had questions about what's going on, we can make appointments, and that way we can handle some business. I'm available if you have any questions, or we can wait till after maybe we have some public comment. I know we have one of our AHAT members here.
Yes, we do have a speaker's card from Ms. Faye Sparkman.
Okay, thank you.
Stay close.
Okay, I'm one of your representatives on that board, but just like today's agenda, we never get to see those names of what you just approved. We did approve a couple years ago the $10,000 emergency. We didn't need to know anything about that. But when it came to the homes, we only ever had one home before since I've been on the board, and I can't tell you how many years that is. We were to vote on it. Now we don't. The other problem I have is the $30,000 one. About 2 weeks ago, I think everybody on our board got a big, thick packet from one of your clients, and I had never seen this person. We never see these names. We never see what's getting done in any of these contracts. This person has a major problem, so I sat down and I read it. Mr. Matthews was a contractor. I've never met him in my life. So I thought, what do I do now? Do I call him? What do I do? I called him. He's never met me. He's never had anybody from the SHIP program call him, but I wanted to see if this person's comments were true or not. So him and I talked, and so the next day I drove into town and I asked to see Tabitha. I had the packet, and her and I sat down and talked. I'm not going to call this person. That's not my responsibility. I've never met any of these people. I've never seen anything that's supposed to be done in their house. So would somebody please explain to us what we're supposed to be doing on the SHIP program, because we're all sitting in that room like, what are we doing here? We never see nothing. Till I see it on the agenda, it comes to you, it goes between them, Mr. O'Leary, on your agenda, and it's done. Something's wrong. Either we need a set of guidelines while we're there or something. We're there to help the people, but how do we know what we're doing if the work's not being done right, or if it is and it's wrong? I don't get it. Could somebody please explain it to all of us?
Lindsay, if you'll drill down on the advisory committee.
Sure. Yes, Ms. Sparkman is correct. We provide copies of the work, the bids, the applicants that had been approved prior as a way for them to stay connected with the program. As I mentioned, the statutes spell out that when you establish an affordable housing committee, their two main purposes, their role is to give you recommendations on your local housing plan. That's to review your guidelines. So what kind of strategies do you all want to pursue? And then what are the criteria for those strategies? Your plan does have two roles. Generally we want to have help one-time applicants, but sometimes things come up where we'd have a second time an applicant may need assistance again. And that's where your Affordable Housing Committee will consider that consider that second-time applicant and make a recommendation to you. And then the other review would be for the committee is to look back over, do a triennial review, essentially an audit of everything that's been done through the last 3 fiscal years, and then give you all recommendations for what can be done better or any changes we could have, and maybe or may not that would come forward as an amendment in your local housing plan. But what I heard Ms. Sparkman say is something that maybe is more akin to having a board orientation or a board 101, and I think that's something that Tabitha has mentioned as well, where perhaps I can spend on our agenda to say, this is what we're looking, this is how the board functions, this is what the commission has empowered you all to do, and this is what we'll look at and forecast then for the next quarterly meetings, some of the aspects that, or elements that they should take up and consider. For example, leveraging other dollars, making partnerships with other housing. And would you add to that, orientation?
Well, not only the orientation, but I also heard an issue with regard to home purchase. Home purchase has a primary lender involved, and they provide the underwriting. They determine repayment ability. It is not our job, it's really not the commission's job, to determine whether a person can repay the loan or not. We're looking at the eligibility criteria and relying upon the bank in that case for that loan, underwriting of that loan. So there's perhaps not as much of a role with regard to that underwriting provision at the county level. It's just that you meet your strategy, and if they're eligible and there's a willing bank who's willing to give them a first mortgage, you go forward with it.
Ms. Sparkman, do you agree that coming to the meeting just to kind of maybe refresh the board on some of the details as to what the aims of a specific component of the program is will fix it?
I don't mind being on the board, but I'm sitting there and we have some new people. I think one of the ones that you picked, we're all sitting there like, what are we really doing here? So if we could have a set of guidelines saying what we're doing, which all of you should have the same thing, so that when you get these things on the agenda, you know what you're voting on.
Your next meeting, Ms. Lindsay will make sure that that they're there.
Right, and so, I
an
mean,
orientation.
it'd be nice if maybe the contractors that we have could be there so that they know who we are and we know who they are. So when we get a big packet like I got, we could understand each other.
Okay. Ms. Lindsay will cover the bases in your next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Tim Ho?
Couple of questions I'd like answered. Are these folk private entities, subcontractors, or who pays them? And is there any consideration for in the emergency thing that you become aware of a person whose roof leaks or the toilets are falling down through the, but are in fact repairable? It seems these things trickle out. Is there a mechanism that when there's a valid need with a valid house that would be compliant to that system, that you can get expedited assistance for those sort of things?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With regard to the first issue, the Northeast Florida Regional Council is an association of local governments created by interlocal agreement in 1977 by and between the 7 counties here in Northeast Florida. You are equity partners. You all own the Regional Council. We serve at your pleasure. I serve for a board of directors, of which some of you are on, and many of you have been on in the past. So we're a governmental agency as defined under Chapter 120 of Florida statutes and defined under 163.01. With regard to new things that crop up, I would refer you back to the fact that we have 87 folks on a waiting list. And at this point in time, there's an issue of fairness to work through those folks first, if we possibly can, rather than having somebody who has, and I'm not doubting that it's in fact a very valid problem, I certainly understand that, but I'm not sure that there's really a mechanism to jump in line, as it were.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question concerning that. If Mr. Hotelan is correct, let's just say that there's an emergency situation that needs to be done, but the other 87 clients are just looking for some housing assistance, if you will. Shouldn't that still be put into the mix at that point? Because we saw a percentage is going to emergency repairs, right? So those 87 have pretty much been filtered out that it's not an emergency situation, correct?
Well, the definition of emergency repair is not necessarily so much of an emergency of health, safety, and welfare kind of emergency. But again, we're juggling all of those combinations and permutations of that entire list. I mean, if it is this board's wish to open up the application process at this point in time, you closed it in March. If it's your desire to open it up, we certainly can open it up and begin to take additional applications and see where those folks fit within the context of the greater list. That's certainly up to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I love the brief presentation. It was very thorough, so I'd hate to go through the thorough presentation, but you did an outstanding job. Both of you did, explaining what the SHIP program's all about. I would like to say it does not affect mobile homes, correct? And that's a big emphasis on our community. And you know, mobile homes are an issue, and I understand that. But a lot of people think it still should go to mobile homes, and it just can't do that by statute, correct?
I'm going to ask Lindsay to correct me because I'm probably going to get this wrong. So historically, you could not expend SHIP money on mobile homes by statute. But the state statute has been changed to the point where if you want to add that into your LHAP, you can do that. Yes. For example, we administer Baker County's program, and they will deal with mobile homes.
So our Affordable Housing Committee would recommend to this board to change the LHAP to consider mobile homes if they chose to do so.
Sure, and if you chose to accept the recommendation, yes, sir.
All right,
correct.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you very much.
Lindsay, are you in agreement with what Brian just said? Do you approve his message? Do you approve his message? Okay.
He's her boss.
Okay. Mr. Leibel?
Well, Nancy was for me. No, you don't. Lindsay, this is for you. On the funding source, is that 10% from the dock stamps always set, even if it's not funded by the legislature? Does it ever change, or could you request a change?
Yeah, no, there's a cap on our funding source.
The 10 cents on a dollar is what is earmarked in state statute that is supposed to go into the Sadowski Trust Fund. So that's statewide. It's not necessarily Putnam County. It's one big pot of money. So two things happen. Number one is that there's this pot of money that's supposed to go to affordable housing. The legislature has dominion over that trust fund. The legislature, in spite of the word trust, in trust fund, can take that money and allocate it for other important purposes at the state level, which they have done actually historically since the beginning of the program. They've always swept some of it. The SHIP program has never put on the streets more than 60% of the dollars which has been collected for that purpose. And frankly, here during the downtimes, as I showed you on the chart, there's only been 20% of that. Now comes Amendment 1. And Amendment 1 by Constitution says that 1/3 off the top is supposed to go to, and there's big controversy what this means, but those kinds of land acquisitions and preservations kind of projects, and I'm not going to get into the controversy of that. How that affects and how that formula affects the allocation to the Sadowski Housing Trust Fund is still unclear. The fog of war has not settled as to how that actually occurred during the past legislative session, and I am ill-equipped to be able to tell you exactly how that happened.
That's good, but we counted for 40% of the monies collected through the dock stamps. So the other 60, is it safe to say, goes into the general budget?
Well, it goes to the general budget and then is spun back out as transportation or, I really don't know.
All right. Second question, disaster relief. In the case of a home with insurance, what would these monies go for? A deductible, or would it be a home with no insurance?
It'd be best if I grab the plan quickly
Okay.
The answer is we haven't dealt with it a great deal, so it's not something that You know, I once had a friend who says, I don't need to know everything in the library, I just need to know the librarian. So we're getting the library out
That's
right
fine,
now.
that's fine, just wondering, I mean, it came, to me that if you're out, I mean, most homes have a mortgage or at least insurance, and if they have a mortgage, they have insurance.
Well, correct. If they have a mortgage, they have insurance. But I will tell you my experience with the SHIP program, not only in Putnam County, but in Baker County and as well as Nassau, which we did for a number of years. The number of homeowners who do not have a note, who don't have insurance, is staggering.
Wow. And I bet they're mostly mobile homes.
I wouldn't just say that.
No, because again, for a long time, we didn't deal with mobile homes. So again, that's been a relatively recent experience in Baker County, but the number of people who, and I think it's just like anything else. Am I going to spend $1,000 a year, or whatever it might be, on homeowners insurance, or am I going to put food on the table, or am I going to purchase my medicine, and I'll run the risk that my house doesn't burn down or some other catastrophic thing
Or it
happens.
could be force-placed insurance, where it's just a minimal amount of coverage to take care of the bank's obligations. So,
Correct.
That's minimal at that point.
Right. Yes, sir.
You find it, Lindsay?
Yes, I did. And you're correct. So generally, we have a time of need. There is a declared disaster, right? That's one trigger. And then you could use the dollars for payment of insurance deductibles once you determine that what the repair list is. So you have insurance, but you're not able to meet your deductible. That could be used. Or post-disaster assistance with non-insured repairs. So the things that fell out that your insurance didn't cover. And then, of course, it focuses also on if you weatherproofing your damaged home, some of the initial repairs not dealing with insurance. So that would be an allowable use to have. We would need a federal or state declared national disaster to trigger that strategy.
That's helpful.
And in the time of federally declared disaster, because you have your local mitigation strategy in place, you're eligible for federal funds. And of course, there's additional funds that will be vectored in for businesses, perhaps through the Small Business Administration and other kind of disaster relief funds available. Frankly, the amount of SHIP dollars that are available should a natural disaster befall Putnam County. And if you recall, back in 2004, 2005, we actually administered a separate program from the state and provide some disaster relief to your local businesses and stuff. It's a drop in the bucket when you think about the numbers and the need.
One last comment, if I could. Go ahead. If you think Lindsay was fast today, you should have seen her when she first came to the regional council. Brian's got her running half speed.
She slowed down a little.
She could talk.
I was going to say something about, I'll speak for myself. I've gotten slower as I've gotten older, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I have one other question.
That was a compliment, Lindsay.
Concerning the home purchases and leaving that up to the lenders basically to kind of qualify that, I'm a little concerned with that based on the predatory lending that has taken place in the past. We've seen it with savings and loans back years ago. We saw it with banks here recently. I'm sure we're going to see it again and again and again. I do have concerns that we set people up for failure in some cases, and I would like to see that more scrutinized at our plan, frankly. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very kindly. At this time, it's been a request for a 5-minute recess, and we will do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
All right. I can't stand this anymore. Can we put them over to the side? The Honorable Nancy Harris has entered
In the house.
We do.
As Judge Judy enter her chambers.
All right.
Call us back in session. Again, we appreciate that last very thorough presentation. We will move now to Mike Nimitz, Public Works, bid 15-18 award, North Florida Emulsions Incorporated, $1,645,418.85, a part of the 2015 dirt to pave contract, and there are listed, the roads are listed in the packet, which he will cover in his presentation. And the director, Mr. Don Jacobovich. Thank you.
As noted on page 78 of the agenda package, the Public Works Department requests the board's approval and the chairman's signature awarding bid 15-18, dirt to pave 2015 to North Florida Emulsions. In Public Works, we have recently made additional provisions to our contract. We have stepped up our quality assurance and quality control efforts, and we started conducting pre-award meetings. For this particular bid, we conducted a pre-award meeting with North Florida Emulsions. At the meeting, we reviewed the design, the contract requirements, and everything that's to be expected of them to execute this contract. At this meeting, present was their asphalt subcontractor, who is also the producer. That asphalt contractor is Preferred Materials. They're an Oldcastle company. They're the largest manufacturer of building products in North America. They operate in all 50 states. They have a bonding capacity of $100 million. They also have 13 CMEC accredited labs in Florida for testing asphalt, and they are FDOT certified in production and laydown of asphalt products in Florida. Given the partnership between North Florida Emulsions and Preferred Materials, we feel this will be a successful contract, and that's why we recommend them for award. There are no outstanding issues with North Florida Emulsions that we feel have been addressed without satisfaction.
Okay. Thank you very kindly. Commissioners, do you have any questions before we go into public comments?
I have one, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday, I received an email from North Florida about this Preferred Materials.
Yes, sir.
And their bonding capability. They are going to be a subcontractor, correct, underneath North Florida Emulsions?
Yes, sir. There are two phases of work to these dirt-to-pave projects. The first phase is the grading and the drainage aspect of it, and then you have the actual asphalt laydown. Okay. And that's what Preferred will be doing, is the asphalt laydown phase of the work.
But the bonding is also, what's North Florida's bonding ability?
$10 million.
$10 million?
Which is more than adequate for what we're doing.
That's the only question I had. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very kindly. Commissioner Lible.
If I could, Mr. Nimitz, if you could give us just a quick update on West Hillsboro. We had little issues there. And
Sir. There are a couple of outstanding issues with West Hillsboro, but we have all those details worked out. There's the relocation of St. Lucie Road near the intersection of St. Lucie and Marion. We have not proceeded with that yet due to the weather. We could tear it up and you could sit there and look at a big mud hole for a couple of months.
Understandable, yeah.
So we need to hold off on that. There's also some additional design issues we needed to do to address the drainage. We're adding a culvert to cross Marion Street there to also handle some
but
of the
our core
drainage
samples and as far as the base goes, that's corrected where we had deficiencies?
Yes, sir. All the items and questions, areas that were in question were cored and addressed.
Okay, that's good enough, as long as you guys are on it.
Commissioner Pelletier.
Are we resolved on the issue from Osteen to Hollister Church Road or School Road? Which was it? We talked about that extension?
Yes, as far as the ones that were left off of the actual bid package, yes, I have numbers and figures for that, and we will address that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Harris, anything? Any comments? No. Okay, Mr. Earl Ballinger.
Thank you. I just
Good afternoon. It's not morning any longer.
Oh, it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just a couple of questions here. With these 7 roads that are being paved, we're probably down to what, 795 miles of dirt roads left?
What's the total mileage? I can tell you.
It's about 800. But anyway, since I've been coming here, every time a road gets paved from dirt to pavement, they say it has to be a connector road.
That's not necessarily
Well,
true.
okay. I got my handy little county atlas out and looked, and of these 7 roads, not all of them are connector roads. So there's more criteria that has to be met. And you all come up with these, you rate these roads during the transportation meeting. I don't have time to attend transportation meeting every time. Is there some way you could put down the criteria that these roads met that other roads didn't meet? Or, you know, how you rated them the way you did and not other roads? Just a little more education for me and the public.
We can do that. Thank you so much. Any other comments on the information that is before us?
If I could, Don, What's the total mileage of these pavement?
Of this group here, or
This group? I can't find it in here. He asked a question, what's the
Six
total?
point 3 miles on the contract, I believe.
Is it? So as far as
Contract says.
dirt to pavement, where does that put us?
it puts us about 85 miles so far of what we've paved, and it leaves us still over 1,000 miles of dirt roads.
Okay.
Page
About a
81.
fourth of the critical 400 we need.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Timho? I'm sorry. Okay.
You know, we had an awful lot of problem with the west, what they refer Hillsborough Road project. A lot of that was because of the inability. The county only has one real inspector, as far as I know, Mr. Carnes, that handles road stuff. It allowed an awful lot of opportunity for tomfoolery. That occurred. That created a lot of problems. Will there be adequate supervision or a heightened supervision so that we don't have really serious things develop again in an organized manner?
Thank you very kindly. Mr. Nimitz covered that in his commentary, but he can certainly repeat that. When it was all said and done, the issues concerning the contractor as well as the county public works department, there has been understanding there. There's been extensive discussion with the North Florida Emulsions Company, and each person has taken responsibility for where there have been deficits. Everything that did come up that was either covered, either one, under the performance bond, or number two, under the new check and balances that have been built into our public works. We acknowledge that there was some accountability issues there, and we have been given those assurances through the two gentlemen that's standing behind you, and North Florida Emulsions have met there, and they properly vetted, even through our legal department, any issues that were, quote, considered unresolved.
Vetted through the legal department. That'll be, anyhow. You misunderstood me.
No, sir, I didn't, but you can clarify if you think you need to.
I was speaking specifically about the amount of manpower available to oversee the numbers of projects. Asphalt roads regularly require in this case, county person on site at all times, and I was just concerned with staffing availability.
Thank you. I understood you the first time, and I will reiterate that the leaders that are standing behind you have evaluated and reviewed, and they do have the staffing set aside for these projects. And Mr. King, who's also here and would like to have some comments, have also ensured and assured us that he's going to personally be there with his designated representatives throughout all of these projects there. So the check and balance and accountability is in place. Mr. Pelletier.
Tim, I think what you were in question of, that all roads were going to be under construction at one time, that's not the case. It's one at the time. Completion of one and then move to the next. So you won't have 7 jobs going and 7 inspectors.
Thank you very kindly. Mr. King, thank you for being here.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jeffrey King, 701 North Moody Road, Palatka, Florida. I am actually there. Just to correct you a tiny bit, like 2 roads that connect to each other, both of those will get done at the same time. So, I mean, but we're going to go from section to section to
Correct.
section.
That's what he means.
But I am the owner, president, and superintendent of North Florida Emulsions. We began building a manufacturing emulsion mill in Palatka back in 2001 because we saw the opportunity in Putnam County, which had about 1,100 miles of dirt road back then. Now we're almost at, 1,000 pretty much. So we're getting there. It's going to take a while. But We finished manufacturing an emulsion mill in 2003. We've been paying property taxes and tangible taxes to the county since 2001 to approximately $144,000. Of that, back in 2008, we started working with the county. We've completed over $4.8 million worth of work for the county since 2008. Some of that has been chip seal, double chip seal, triple chip seal, cold mix paving, dirt to pave work. But we have saved the county based on bids and based on awards. To me, being a personal contractor, $700,000 we've saved the county as far as savings against other contractors. So it's a substantial amount of money that the county is saving by using a local vendor. Obviously, it's cheaper for me to do the work because I'm here. But Putnam County work does account for more than 50% of my business. It is vital to my business. I have 6 employees that are Putnam County residents. 4 of them either pay property taxes or their families pay property taxes. Out of those 6 employees, it accounts for 22 family members, not counting me and my wife and 2 kids. So your business obviously is very vital to my business. So I am involved in the community. I have a vested interest in Putnam County. I'm in Putnam County Rotary. I'm in the Chamber of Commerce. I am committed to doing the road work in the right way for the county. As you know, preferred materials has been around forever. We don't have to go through that. I do have my GC license in the state of Florida. I have 23 years of experience building roads, building retirement communities, pretty much from Rhode Island all the way down to Florida. So I just wanted to say I appreciate the opportunity. I know the job you guys have up here is pretty hard. So that's all I wanted to say. Any questions?
No questions from me.
Good.
Any other public comments related to this project, sir? Please come forward.
Tyrone Brown, 143rd Street, Crescent City, Florida, outskirts of Crescent City, Long Station, whatever y'all want to call it. In reference to all these roads and different things, but the question I have for the commissioners, how long does it take to propose and to actually get a road built?
Mr. Brown, that would be a question that you can talk with Public Works about. They will meet with you and discuss that. Under public comments, you could have raised that issue. Right now, we're dealing with this particular contract, so we're going to keep our discussion on this contract.
Okay, so when are you all coming to Long Station?
Okay.
The outskirts of Crescent City.
The staff will meet with you,
okay.
And there has been an area supervisor who has been sent down. I don't know how they missed you or you missed them, but they have been in the area. I talked with the director yesterday about Long Station as well, and they're willing to listen to your commentary and figure out exactly how it fits into the scheme. Our District 1 Commissioner, Commissioner Harris, likewise is very familiar with the area, and all of us have been involved at one point or another. We are elected countywide, we serve countywide, we have to live in a district, and so we don't want anybody to think that we're not as concerned about every component of this county. But thank you so much.
Yeah, I've lived in Putnam County since 1977. I was actually born in this county.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it seems mind-blowing to me till you all can spend all of this money to build areas that don't need building, but you're neglecting the areas that need the building.
Mr. Brown, thank you for your opinion. We're not neglecting. We just, again, have more issues than we have money to deal with those issues. And I think if you will just stay tuned to the station and look at the things that have been done, you will have a greater appreciation for how much progress we've made. We do encounter citizens who, quote, have been patient with us and waiting for their particular area to get upgrades, and we are concerned, but it takes time and dollars. So thank you for your comment, sir.
Okay, if it takes 38 years to get a road built.
Okay, I'm not going to debate you, Mr. Brown, about Long Station. I told you that the engineers and our directors will meet with you, and we as commissioners will also. I was in Long Station last week riding. with some other citizens. We went down your street and a few others, so we do share in your concerns. We cannot roll back the hands of time and fix anything that was broken yesterday.
Don't worry.
Okay.
Election season is coming up.
Very good, and we look forward to that season, sir. Thank you for your comments. Any further public comments? Okay, we will close public comments. Commissioners, you have from the Public Works Department a recommendation for board approval for the contract to the local preference bidder, North Florida Emulsions, in the amount of $1,645,418.85. And the funding is provided through the Public Works allocation of the Better Place Plan funds for the Dirt to Pave project. What is the pleasure of this commission?
So move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Have a proper motion and a second. Further discussion. District 5?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes.
District 3? Yes. Motion unanimous. Thank you very kindly for your presentation. This time we will go to item 11, code enforcement. Mr. John Salmon is prepared to present 11A first, fine reduction request, case number 2011-0452, Joseph and Rosemary Agius. And then B is fine reduction request, case number 2007-01596, Jobed Investments, LLC. Good afternoon, Mr. Salmon.
Good afternoon. This property was first seen on July 22nd, 2011. There was an unsafe mobile home on the property. Notice of hearing and violation were sent out on December 8th, 2011. The case went before the special magistrate on January 19th, 2012. He found the property to be in violation. Gave the owner until April 3rd, 2012 to bring the property into compliance, or a $25 a day fine would commence. $100 administrative fee was also charged. Demolition was pulled on April 4th, 2012, but the work was not completed until July 20th of 2012. The fine was not paid, so the case remained open. On July 29, 2015, J.J. Gullett requested a fine reduction hearing for the owners. Special magistrate heard the request for a fine reduction on September 18, 2015, and he recommended that the county accept $800 in this case in lieu of $2,775 fine if it was paid within 60 days of the board action for the reason given. Any questions by the board?
Thank you very kindly. Are there any representatives on this case, number 2011-0452, that
I believe they were here earlier.
Okay.
They were sitting next to me, but they, I guess they got
I can understand that.
left.
I can certainly understand
Got
that.
tired.
Any other citizens, neighbors, or affected parties that's here to discuss any concerns related to this fine reduction request? Commissioners, we do have a recommendation to concur with the special magistrate and accept $800 in this case if it's paid within 60 days. 60 days of the board action, which would be January 11, 2016. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Proper
Second.
motion and a second. Further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Next case.
Next case, 2014 Wallace, Jobed Investments. This property was first seen on December 14th, 2007. There was a lot of trash and debris on the property, and the mobile home had some issues with its skirting. Notice of violation was sent out on December 19, 2007. Case went before the special magistrate on May 15th, 2008. He found the property to be in violation and gave the owners until June 16, 2008 to bring the property into compliance, or $25 a day fine would commence. He also assessed $100 administrative fee. The property remained in non-compliance. On January 2nd, 2009, an inspection showed that the mobile home was about to be moved from the property. A stop work order was issued for lack of permit to do that. The owner was told to come in and obtain the permit. On July 12, 2009, the mobile home had been removed. The property went to tax deed sale on July 15, 2010. There were some ownership issues. At that time, I think the person that did the tax deed sale started to sell it to somebody else. New owner emerged on May 28, 2015. Immediately started to bring the property into compliance, and he's requested, and it is in compliance now, he's requested that the special magistrate hear his fine reduction request. Special magistrate heard it and recommended that the $6,125 fine be reduced to the $1,750 if it's paid within 90 days of Board of County Commissioners action.
Are there any representatives of the property owner or any adjacent or affected, impacted neighbors?
The owner's in Virginia now. He sends his apology that he couldn't be here, but he had a thing that he had to be at up there. He had been down here.
No apology is required. Recommended action is to concur with the special magistrate's recommendation and accept the $1,750 if paid within the 90 days of Board of County Commissioners action, which is January 11, 2016.
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Proper motion.
Second.
Second. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. Thank you very kindly. The next item on the agenda, which is time certain at 10 o'clock, we're about 2 hours and 21 minutes past that. Planning and Development Services, Mike Brown, Planning Manager, case number R-15-010, zoning map amendment from C1 and Ag to C3, DiMaggio family.
I'll do this as quickly as possible, Mr. Chairman. Mike Brown, Putnam County Planning and Development Services. This is a request for rezoning of two parcels, C1 and Ag to C3. The applicant is Anthony and Virginia DiMaggio. The parcels are located in the Bostwick area of Putnam County with direct access to US 17. The east side of the parcels are fronted by the CSX rail line. There's a quick aerial view. Future land use for both parcels are commercial. The existing zoning, as I indicated, are C3, or C1 and Ag. There is an old platted roadway that bisects the parcels. The applicant has requested to abandon, has submitted an application to the Public Works to abandon that roadway. Again, there's no crossing of the rail there. It's an old platted road, and so I just wanted to make you aware of that. That hopefully the goal is to combine those two parcels into one at some point in the future.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brown, do we need to wait then until that's done?
No, because we can rezone.
Go ahead.
Those parcels, and assuming that the board approves the rezoning, you will have the same rezoning on both parcels, and when they obtain that, if they should obtain that
vacated
road right away, it would become the same zoning as those parcels.
All right, thank you.
Quickly, the request for C3 is consistent with the comprehensive plan from a land use designation as commercial. According to the Land Development Code, C3 is a zoning district that provides general commercial zoning district for commercial uses that require immediate access to major and minor arterial roadways in rural center, urban reserve, urban service, and commercial future land use. US 17 is classified as principal arterial. US 17, based on the 2015 traffic counts, is operating acceptably with a volume to capacity ratio of 0.15. When it hits 1, there's a problem. So we've got more than adequate capacity on 17. The parcels meet access requirements with the direct access to 17. No additional residential, no increase in traffic in through the residential neighborhood. There are no flood hazards or wetlands on the site, and again, it's backed by on the east side by CSX rail line, which sort of provides a buffer between the residents that are on east of the CSX rail line. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the goals, policies, objectives, and the future land use designation in the comprehensive plan. It's compatible with the existing and adjacent uses. The rezoning is consistent with the locational requirements of the C3 zoning, and the Planning Commission recommended approval unanimously at their meeting. So recommendation is that Planning Commission staff recommends approval of the proposed zoning map amendment for R15-010 from C1 commercial neighborhood and Ag to C3 commercial general.
Thank you, Mr.
questions
Brown,
of staff.
for your presentation. This is a public hearing, and we do open the public hearing for the benefit of all that are here. I do know that the property owners are here. Do you agree that everything that has been stated by our planning directors is accurate and true, and are you in agreement with what is being proposed? Yes, we are. Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other parties that are here that have any commentary in the favor of or against the recommendation that is before this commission? Public hearing is hereby closed. Commissioners, this is, there is a need for disclosure because of this being a rezoning case as it relates to ex parte communication. And I'd like to start with District 4. Any ex parte communication?
I've had none, sir.
District 5.
I've had none.
District 2.
I have had some.
District 1.
No, I have not.
District 3, none. Is there anything that need to be disclosed, sir?
No, they just needed guidance on how best to manage this property to clean up the zoning, and I referred them to Mr. Brown and Planning and Development.
Good deal.
Excellent. Sounds like a great commissioner here. Okay, commissioners, are there any questions for the directors?
I have none, Mr. Chair, but I would like to recommend the motion for approval.
All right, we have a proper motion to recommend, to accept and approve the action of the staff and the planning commission in reference to the rezoning.
And you have a second.
Have a proper second, 2 times. Any further discussion? District 2?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 3? Yes. Unanimous. Thank you again, and thank you all so much for your patience with us today. Anything else, Mr. Brown? Okay. Mr. Hammonds, you had something to share? Okay, we will go to our county administrator, Mr. Rick Leary. You have some appointments, some announcements, some introductions.
Well, I don't have anything beyond these various appointments that are listed in your agenda, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Commissioner Lible.
Yes.
If you would kind of maybe give us some commentary on the Advisory Committee of Animal Services, and then we will hear from Ms. Weeks, who's filled out a comment card.
Okay. Basically what we did with the help of Planning and Development, well, they did it, not help, with the help of us. We cleaned up this committee to make it more in line with our other committees, where each of us elected officials have a representative, hopefully in the area of expertise, or can contribute something in the area of animal services to better improve our effort there and have more direct, control over what goes on with the accountability and transparency. You know, it's pretty much was at the root of why we did this. And anyhow, I think Planning and Development, they did a great job. John Salmons and Brian Hammonds both. It's very comprehensive and a job well done. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Weeks.
Yes. I came before this commission 6 months ago and asked that the current Animal Advisory Board be disbanded and that Commissioner Lible step down. After that, the following week, I spoke to Miss Ann Allen, and I had suggested that they have a representative of the 5 municipalities in the county, the mayor or his designee, a representative of law enforcement, also a vet, citizens at large, and a commissioner on the board. And I see this now that, and I'm trying to get some clarification on this. Are the actual appointments to be made today?
They can be.
Okay, so you've already picked the people.
No, I don't pick anybody. It's up
That
to
was
the board
Planning
to
and
make
Development that
appointments.
picked
No,
them?
ma'am. If you look at what's before us here, it's 9 appointments. All of those appointments.
Yes.
Each commissioner has the opportunity to select a person who resides in the respective districts, And then we have the veterinarian, animal behaviorist.
Right.
farm
I understand
owners,
that part.
and
I'm
all
just
of that is
saying.
there. So nothing has been done because it hasn't been done in this meeting.
Okay, that's what I didn't understand, because when I went to the agenda packet, there was nothing in there about this.
Because it basically is a new creation of a committee.
This is the first, yeah.
Exactly. So
Okay.
now that we know that we are approving, or we have authorized the formation of the committee,
Mm-hmm.
now we will, I'm sure, hear from citizens who have an interest or who meet one of the criteria here.
Right.
And then it will come in a public meeting just like this, at the end of the meeting, just like it is now, for us to name.
Okay.
Potential.
I do feel you are remiss in omitting a law enforcement, probably from PCSO, from the county.
It's for appointments at large, and it certainly can include them.
Oh, I thought that would include citizens or
They are.
such, well, no, I mean, give the opportunity for rescue groups, because they are crucial that we work with them.
We certainly want a diverse group that is representative of the disciplines that will make this board very effective and efficient.
Yes,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
that's what we need. That's
Yes,
what
ma'am.
it's all about.
We agree.
I was worried that by the commissioners picking, by the districts instead of a mayor of a municipality picking, there might be, the board that we have now is not official, of course, and it's been in place for years, and they have been present throughout all the egregious and unlawful actions that have occurred, and those people, as far as I'm concerned, should be totally excluded. I've gone there to the meetings before, and that's why, I went to a meeting, for instance, one thing, and reminded them of the statute about following up with spay and neuter procedures and the county's obligation in that. We came back the following month. They acted like they didn't know what I was talking about, and that's why I had to come before this board to address that, because this issue of just, putting a Band-Aid on it and saying, oh, yeah, we're looking at this and we're going to do this, it's not working. And we're at a critical point now. And also, I should remind you that animals are a matter of public safety in this county. And there's an issue also with the employees of the facility. I spoke to you before in a meeting about one time that a prison trustee or a jail inmate trustee was left alone in the facility, things of that, today we're in the headlines again about the parvo issue. That's been oncoming for 7 weeks. And there's just a general failure. And, I can't put it all on planning and development because that's not their specialty. They're thrust that last October. And they've always had to play catch up. But the problem was already so critical that we need to get rescue people that, vets, things like that are actually familiar with the animal problems in this county. And it differs. In the south end of the county, you have dog fighting. And, in Interlochen, it's a different issue. In Palaca, it's a different issue. So they all need to be addressed. And I'm just glad, I wasn't sure. That's why I wanted to question Mr. Leary about that, if these were to be the actual appointments, because we'd seen nothing about it until it appeared on the agenda. And like I said, there was nothing in the agenda packet about it.
Nothing was done. It's
Okay.
for discussion. So
Okay.
thank you, Ms. Weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any appointments to Affordable Housing, Better Place Plan, or Fishing Fund?
I have none.
Okay, item 14, County Attorney Stacy Manning, resolution authorizing eminent domain for sidewalk project on Moody Road. Mr. Manning.
This item is somewhat self-explanatory. There's a need for some additional right-of-way for the sidewalk project along Moody Road. This is the Spells property. Mr. Spells had commented on earlier, and it's for that portion of the property that is needed for the sidewalk.
Okay. Any discussion from the general public on this item, resolution authorizing eminent domain? Commissioners, you have a proposed resolution before you authorizing the acquisition by eminent domain of the real property described herein, establishing the use for which said property is to be acquired and that the property is necessary for such use, providing an adequate description of the property sought to be taken, providing the nature of the estate or interest in said property which the Board of County Commissioners intend to acquire, authorizing legal action and condemnation, authorizing taking of possession and title in advance of final judgment, and providing an effective date. Yes, sir, Mr. Bly.
I just want to make sure that we have tried as much as we possibly can to work with the family that owns this property and make them an offer that's reasonable as compared to offers that were made to people in that same area for different property, and realize that when you take away that front half of that property, zoning would not allow for that property to be used for almost anything.
Okay, just define half, Mr. Bly.
The front edge of the property.
Okay, you said front half. I want to make sure that the record shows that the only thing that the county is doing is protecting the public safety as well as protecting the property owners who are between that most dangerous section of Moody Road between State Road 20 and State Road 19. Our public works leaders, our administration, our legal department have met with every adjacent and affected property owner over the past few years, and we have pedestrian traffic that is in with the automotive traffic, and that equation is not working. And we have sought to use individuals who had relationships with the families so that it was a win-win situation for all concerned. And so I apologize if you are not aware of all of the attempts that Putnam County has invested into making this happen, and eminent domain is not anything that this commission takes for granted. It is a very last resort. As far as we're concerned, it's a no resort. We don't want to ever be put in these positions. However, when an individual decides, one single individual who has not over the years been the total owner, was just only a partner in the ownership, decides we're not participating, then the best public interest does take precedent, and that's why we're here.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Harris.
I just wanted to say that the way eminent domain works is that it goes to the judge and there's an appraisal and the value is established in court. So they will get fair value for what it is. And it's only 9 feet on the drawing I'm looking at. So.
And it also enhances the value of the property. Big time.
I think it does.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman. Okay.
If the board authorizes this, one of the first steps will be an official offer letter that will be 2 to 3 times the appraisal we get from the property appraiser's office.
Thank you.
Which is way more than fair.
Is John aware of this?
Mm-hmm.
Has
yes.
anyone?
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir. This is not new.
I understand
Trust
it's
me.
not new business.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make sure that the county's done everything they can to
We
work
do,
this out.
and we take pride in doing so.
All right,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Bly, I've even reached out and offered to facilitate a meeting, but to no response. So I've done that. And I'm sure other people before me have done that. So, you know.
All right. Well, I thank you for all your hard work.
All right.
And I'd like to add one more thing if I could. At the, just a few blocks away on Moody Road, we're about to have a project completed. It's a senior living facility, and primarily those people are pedestrians, and their shopping facilities are in that corridor. And being taken in the age and the fast-moving traffic through there,
Right.
it's a bottleneck. The design was never good. It should have been
It should have been
addressed when
done right.
Walmart moved into
Right.
the neighborhood, but it wasn't. Don't want to go there, but this really enhances safety for those folks and the whole neighborhood in general. There's a lot of folks that walk along that road, and it has to have a sidewalk.
We have been slow dragging for quite a long time.
Yep.
The party is over. Okay, commissioners, any other? Mr. Bly, you any further questions, sir? Any other commissioner deliberations, discussions? Okay, you have a resolution before you. Your pleasure.
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Proper motion and a second for the approval of authorizing this resolution on the eminent domain case. Had time to consider. District 4.
Yes.
District 2.
Yes.
District 1.
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
District 3. Yes. Motion carries. Anything else from the county attorney's office?
Nothing further.
Okay. Hear two voices. That's good for the interim, right? Clerk of Court, the Honorable Tim Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I won't take long, but I was at a clerk's meeting last week in Orlando, and the discussion came up, and I wanted to mention this for Mr. Manning, that there are some efforts being proposed around the state to allow non-charter counties to delegate their signature authority from the board to county staff members to execute contracts. And that really raises a lot of red flags for the comptroller, part of what we do as a check and balance. And we would suggest that any opportunities that you have to offer input into dialogue through your association of counties against this, we think that's bad policy to allow that to happen. And so I just wanted to mention that.
Okay. Thank you very kindly, and thank you for what you do in your office and competent staff. All right. Commissioner Harvey.
I have nothing, sir.
Commissioner Harris.
Nothing.
Commissioner Pelletier.
First, get some decongestant. Second, I will be at QI Roberts helping them with a fundraiser Friday, cooking ribs. I think they still have some available, so if anybody is interested. Saturday morning, I'll be cooking ribs and chickens for the Seminole Electric Charity Bike Ride. And Saturday evening, I will be steaming oysters for the Chamber of Commerce fundraiser event. So cooking, and more cooking.
All right. Sounds like
fun.
we got the right man.
Can do it.
Might need some backup there unless you
It's all rookie stuff.
Right. Okay. Sounds like a plan. Commissioner Lytle.
Yes, I'll remind everybody that it is Biketoberfest. Keep an extra eye out for motorcycles in the area, and Saturday night is the Take It or Leave It annual fundraising Mr. Pelletier just talked about. If you haven't got a ticket, it's a great opportunity to mingle with your business leaders and political leaders and people of all walks of life. Will be there Saturday night at the Putnam County Shrine Club. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we have some pink wearers in the room today. We want to be mindful of breast cancer awareness during this month, and we pray for families that have gone through and dealt with loved ones who transition, and we also honor the survivors there. We certainly appreciate them and their testimony. We also recognize domestic violence awareness. There were ceremonies on the riverfront and various ceremonies throughout that's happening throughout the county to raise our awareness of how devastating to communities and families domestic violence is. And the Conley House and their staff, they do such a remarkable job, their directors, in making sure that there is an awareness, information, and also telling those individuals who are not only victims but potential victims how to deal with getting out of relationships that are not working there, and just informing and dealing with the wholeness of the family. So we commend them this month as well for all of their efforts, and if you'll pass that on, do not forget to remember the legislative delegation. That is not a county commission meeting. That is a legislative delegation with our legislators that are here. We will just make them welcome and at home, and the community certainly has an opportunity to represent. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Have a blessed day.